IB Nation, welcome back to another episode of the Irish Breakdown Podcast brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. Happy Sunday. It's Selection Sunday, ladies and gentlemen. Here in under 10 minutes, we are going to find out if the Notre Dame Fighting Irish have made this year's 2025-2026 college football playoffs. Now, what we're going to do before this gets started, obviously, we're about 9 minutes away from the selection show actually starting. So we're going to recap just kind of what went down this weekend, kind of leading to where Notre Dame is at right now. Then if there's time beforehand, we're also going to give what our projected rankings are going to be for this. We have an idea. I think we both have a strong idea of what we think that it's going to be, but obviously sometimes the committee may have other thoughts.
Yes. I mean, I think we know there's some things that have happened to make us feel like it's going to be that way, but honestly, I'm not going to be not nervous until we figure it out. And the not nervous is simply just because, Trev, I don't like things that I can't control. I mean, you've known me now a couple of years. You know how I am. I don't like not being in control of things. So we're going to find out here very soon, you know, what it's going to look like. And obviously yesterday shook things up big time. And, I think kind of dive into that a little bit. So Notre Dame it was almost a straight shot. I mean, it was almost exactly kind of what you needed to happen, to kind of get into it. So what you needed to happen going into yesterday was Notre Dame needed BYU to lose, and they needed Alabama to lose. And the worse that Alabama lost, the better it was for Notre Dame. If Alabama would have lost a 4-quarter, down to the wire, barn burner, Georgia with the walk-off field goal, you could make a legitimate case, one that I would not be upset about, that, look, they should stay where they are. Like, you played against the number 3 team in the country. It was back and forth. It was a rematch. You have yet to play them at your place this year. You don't fall down just because you caught an L. You only fall down if you are clearly not the better team, and they were clearly not the better team. I mean, Kalen DeBoer, like, it was a 14-point game with 7-something left, and we had the ball. I'm like, bro, that's such a bad look.
That's a reach.
That's a terrible reach.
That's a reach, man.
And it's like you got dominated. You rushed for -3 yards. That is something that should cause them to fall. So the fear was Bama doesn't fall. Notre Dame stays at 10. BYU loses. They drop because they got their butts kicked. And then now it's the panic of Notre Dame and Miami are side by side, which, again, I still didn't buy. I think there was this assumption, like Kirk Herbstreit said this about 7,493 times last night. Well, if you go right next to each other, the head-to-head is going to matter more. The committee has made very clear that they've already for 2 weeks compared Notre Dame head-to-head, and Notre Dame is better. This idea that there's a buffer is not something the committee's talked about, but that's a different story for a different day. So now you're in a position where if BYU falls, you have to drop Bama at least once. And the commissioner said it was back and forth, very heated debate, with Notre Dame and Alabama. I highly doubt that the people that are on the Bama side are going to win out with the whole, you don't punish a team for dropping. And I'm like, yeah, there's precedent for that. 2017, somebody pointed this out on Twitter. I didn't even think of this until somebody pointed out on Twitter and somebody put it out on our board. 2017, number 2 Auburn played in the SEC title game against Georgia, a team that they had beat soundly in the regular season. Auburn had beat Alabama 26-14 in the last game of the regular season. Bama gets beat by Georgia 28-7. Exact same scores last night. And Auburn fell from 2nd to 7th. USC is in the top 4 going into the Pac-12 title game in 2023. They get smoked by Utah, and they drop out of the top 4. Last year, Texas, Penn State, SMU, Iowa State all dropped at least one spot in the playoff rankings. There's no precedent for a team that gets beat in their championship game, especially soundly, to stay where they are. So you have to drop Bama at least one. There's no precedent for them not to drop.
Right.
The precedent is that they do drop. The question now is, do they drop below just Notre Dame, or do they drop below Notre Dame and Miami? And this is why. This right here is exactly why I spent the last 2 weeks destroying the leadership of the ACC. The Atlantic Coast Conference screwed themselves over because they were so focused on Notre Dame and not the SEC. If they'd have spent the last 2 weeks hammering this home, or here's a thought, maybe play the Alabama FSU game on loop on ACC Network, or one Miami Notre Dame, then Bama FSU, you would have had an opportunity to say, hey, listen, we deserve to be in because look what we did out of conference. We beat Florida State, beat Alabama, Louisville beat Kentucky by 41, Clemson beat South Carolina worse than Alabama did and worse than Texas A&M did. Way worse. Matter of fact, they beat them by more than A&M, and Alabama beat them combined. That's what they could have done, should have done. But instead, they chose to hyper-focus on Notre Dame, and the result could be that they're completely left out, and they have no one to blame but themselves should it happen that way. I will say this, though, Trev, as I kick it to you. What should happen is that Notre Dame should move up to 9, Miami should move up to 10, Bama should be out. That's what should happen. What will happen, we'll find out here soon.
Yeah, that's the $1 million question, Brian, is what should happen? I mean, what should happen versus what will happen. And you and I see that the exact same. Notre Dame should be bumped up to 9th, and then Miami should be bumped up to 10th. You and I, along with Vince, we've been talking, all three of us throughout the week, that both teams should be in. That the media is driving this narrative that it's Miami versus Notre Dame, and that's extremely misguided. The ACC has done itself a major disservice by shifting the focus away from what it should be and looking at it at a very, very, very surface level perspective. And unfortunately, that could end up being the downfall of Miami today. If Miami doesn't make the playoffs, their fans have the right to be extremely upset because, look, you and I were talking on the phone before this. After Alabama got destroyed by Georgia by 21 points in the conference championship, what sets them apart from Texas? What's the difference? Texas lost to a 4-8 Florida team. Alabama lost to a 5-7 Florida State team. They both lost to Georgia by over 20 points. And yeah, I understand regular season, but on the stage that it matters, here we are. And if you want to even further it, Texas beat Oklahoma. Alabama didn't at home. And so, look, I fear that if the committee still ends up putting in Alabama, they're setting a really bad precedent moving forward and are going to devalue conference championships even more so than what they already have. Because look at what will most likely happen after this weekend. Ohio State can lose in the conference championship, and they will still likely get a bye. And that's not me saying that I don't think that they should, but we're talking about the meeting of conference championship games.
Right.
Ohio
and
State
they should
can lose.
Get a bye.
Yes, absolutely.
Agreed. 100%.
But Ohio State can lose in the conference championship and still get a bye. Alabama can lose by 21 points, entering it with 2 losses, and still make the college football playoffs. If I'm another team that's like 7th next season playing for a conference championship, I'm sitting my starters. Why risk the injury? Because the playoff is what has more meat on the bone. So this conversation of what will happen versus what should happen, extremely fascinating, and I'm very interested to see what the College Football Playoff Committee does.
Another thing that I should have mentioned earlier when we were talking about the weekend results, and by the way, this is a comparison of Notre Dame versus Alabama versus Miami. Now, keep in mind, these metrics are from before the SEC title game. And as you can see here, blue means you're the best, yellow means you're second best. As you can look at these different metrics, Alabama doesn't have a whole lot of advantages over Miami. Their offense is worse than both Notre Dame and Miami. Their defense is worse. And this is relative, so it does take into account who you've played. If you've played a stronger schedule, it takes that into account. So it does. But the other thing that happened this weekend that factored into this, guys, is Boise State won their conference championship, which also then boosts Notre Dame's strength of schedule. If you look at where Notre Dame was going into the weekend, Notre Dame was 2 spots below Miami in strength of schedule. It's 57 and 59. After conference championship weekend was factored in, Notre Dame stayed at 59, but Miami dropped down to 61st. So that was another little boost for Notre Dame in that conversation. So they have started the show. We'll find out here what exactly is going to happen. I have it on mute, so I'm not going to.
You got the Notre Dame and Miami logo right next to each other because that's what the committee's thinking. Come on.
Real quick, I just wanted to run through some of these lines from our friends over at FanDuel real quick before the rankings do actually come in. Notre Dame's line also just moved significantly more in their favor as well. In the last 10 minutes, it went from minus 3,000 odds to minus 3,500 odds to make the college football playoff.
Tells me there was a leak.
Yep, absolutely. And then right now, since the rankings are out, the other lines are locked. But before I looked, Miami was at plus 186 to make the playoffs. Alabama was at minus 310.
So that means Alabama's in, Miami's out, according to FanDuel.
Yes.
In case people don't understand how those things work.
Right. And the reality is that if the line's moving that quickly, I mean, it happens every year, there tends to be leaks. And my guess is going to be that there were some leaks going on that kind of are going to impact this. But the frustrating thing is if conference this, Trevor, you were making this point before we kind of shifted to, hey, this is what they're doing. But if the conference championship games don't matter, stop playing them. Like it really is that simple. If they don't matter, then stop playing them. And if you're going to tell me you shouldn't get punished for playing in it, then you also shouldn't get a reward. I mean, for losing in it, then you also shouldn't get a reward for playing in it or winning it. You know what I mean? Like you can't have it. Everything you do in sports, there's a risk reward aspect to it. So you can't tell me, well, now we're going to argue that there be a reward, but no risk. And here's the other part. All Bama had to do yesterday, all they had to do was just be competitive.
Right. And they weren't. They didn't show up.
From the beginning of the game, it was very obvious they were going to get their butts kicked.
Right.
And they didn't start getting scores until Georgia basically started playing prevent defense because they knew you're going to have to go down the field on multiple plays to get into the end zone. And then they missed a holding call on Alabama's only touchdown that should have brought that thing back. But that's another conversation for another day. But
there's another thing I want to bring up because, you're talking about conference championship games and all of that. And it's going to be very interesting moving forward because the conference championship games came about to make money. I mean, 100%. It's the only reason, right?
The late Roy Kramer. It was actually a brilliant. Honestly, at the time, it was brilliant by Roy Kramer, who passed away this past week. They did a moment of silence. I think at the time it was brilliant.
Yes,
it was absolutely brilliant to come up with that at the time.
But here's the thing: when does the return on investment, the ROI, make as much of a difference as making money in the conference championship game? So, like, you've got these teams that are getting out because they're playing in the conference championship game potentially. I think it hurts more than it helps. And so conferences are now going to start weighing, okay, do we not even have a conference championship game anymore? Is it worth the money that we're making to lose the money that we could make by our teams being in the playoff? I think that's a legitimate conversation for every conference in the country that's at the Power 4 level right now. I think it's a legitimate conversation.
And I want to say something. There's an Ohio State fan in the chat mad because his team lost in the championship game and doesn't think she can penalize. I'm like, I want to say to him, bro, relax, because you want Ohio State to fall to 3. Because if you fall to 3, you know who you're going to get in the second round? The winner of the Ole Miss Tulane game.
Yeah.
Or you can stay 1 and get the winner of Oklahoma Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Or you know what I'm saying? So like, it's good to fall in this instance because you're gonna have to play the 2 seed anyway, whether you're 2 or whether you're 3. But if you're gonna play the game, there has to be some sort of risk reward benefit to it. It absolutely should. So otherwise, don't play the game. I get so tired of this whole thing. Like now, Ohio State has a different argument because they didn't play any FCS teams this year. But the whole Bama thing, don't talk to me about they had to play an extra game because it took the title game to get you to 12 FBS opponents.
Right.
So I don't want to hear, well, we had to play, an extra game. You played Eastern Illinois 2 weeks ago. They're a bad FCS team. They're a 3-9 FCS team. They're bad. But at the end of the day, fellas, here's my concern. I think the committee's afraid of Greg Sankey. I think they're afraid of what Greg Sankey will do. I don't think they have the stones to knock Alabama out. Because, again, I'll pull up the metrics. This is before they lost to Georgia by 3 touchdowns. Tell me how Alabama has a better resume than Miami. Because this is the data the committee looks at. Explain to me how they have a better resume than Miami. Other than, we got to play in the SEC. Well, Miami had to play a team that you had to play, and they beat that team pretty soundly. They scored a garbage touchdown at the end to make it closer. But, I don't put much into garbage touchdowns. That was not a 6-point game. We all watched that game. That wasn't a 6-point game. That same team a month before beat Alabama by 2 touchdowns. So again, tell me how they have a better resume than Miami. The problem is I don't think they have the stones to keep Alabama out. And that's where I get a little bit nervous, because are they going to completely shut out the ACC? That's where I get a little bit concerned. They should, because the ACC did this to themselves. Well, no, they should. They should, if they decide Bama's in, then they should leave the ACC out. I still contend that what they should do is put Notre Dame and Miami in for 2 reasons. 1, they both have better on-paper resumes. 2, they're both better than Alabama. I mean, at the end of the day, I have eyes. I'm a football coach. I've been doing this for a long time. I played college football, coached college football, played against elite athletes in high school, Dre Bly, Plexico Burris, guys like that. I know football, okay? And I have eyes. And anyone that has eyes should be able, and his objective should be able to watch Miami and watch Alabama and say, Miami's a better football team. They have a better quarterback. They have better line play. Their defense is way better. They know how to beat Florida State.
Because even with Miami pushing for garbage time touchdowns to have final scores of, 38 and 34, that's still more points per game. You take away the garbage time touchdowns. That is still more points per game than what Alabama has had in their last games against P4 points. They're averaging 18.7 points per game in their last 4 P4 games. And no, to the dismay of many Alabama fans, that wasn't all against Georgia just in Athens, and it wasn't against Ohio State and Columbus, and it wasn't against Notre Dame and South Bend, and it wasn't against Oregon and Eugene. As a refresher, they scored 7 points, 27 points, 21 points, and 20 points. And it was ugly. Like Alabama, to me, and we all had this conversation last week when they made the decision to ultimately flip them. Alabama's resume took a ding before the SEC championship even happened, with Tennessee and Missouri no longer being ranked. And now your one good ranked win over Georgia, because yes, Vanderbilt's a ranked win as well, but your one really good ranked win on the road against Georgia got negated by the fact that you lost by 21. You lost by the same margin of points that Georgia scored in your first matchup. It just completely takes it away in my eyes.
And ESPN is the listening to Chris Fowler and Kirk Herbstreit last night saying, we're not biased. We don't have, yes, you are. Just admit it. Nick Saban sitting there doing an interview with Reese Davis and Kirk Herbstreit wearing a crimson red freaking blazer
with red buttons. Like,
he's
so all in on Alabama.
Like, bro, you don't work for them anymore. Like, give an honest assessment. This is not your team.
Maybe he loves Christmas.
Right.
Maybe he still lives in Tuscaloosa.
He should have to recuse himself from talking about Alabama in this situation.
He lives in Tuscaloosa. All right. So that I mean, he has to still go grocery shopping every now and again.
100%. So now if they leave Notre Dame out, then now Notre Dame, I think, should fight to blow the whole thing up. I love the comment by Pete Bavacqua yesterday. Again, I think it was $1 late and a day late and $1 short, right? But his comment was, look, we have as much on the line as anybody, because if we don't make the playoff, we get nothing financially. Everybody in the SEC is getting a windfall from their teams being in the playoff because it gets split up. Notre Dame either gets it all or loses it all. He goes, we get what we eat, we eat what we kill. I freaking thought that was but he did it so like calmly. It didn't come across as savage as it actually was. You know what I mean? So, but it's like, you can't, and now the silly narrative from that, well, they started Notre Dame too high. They should have started them back because they should have looked at the schedule and blah. Like, no, you don't look at that. You say, who's the best teams right now?
Evaluate a team.
Notre Dame was ranked 10th at the beginning because all the computer models and all the data showed that they were a freaking top 10 team. It's so lazy and disingenuous for people to look at this and be like, hey, this is the case. And the problem is that's why people get so enraged on Twitter, because they think it all comes down to SOS and SOR, game control, and top 25 wins. And then the other people are, it's like this guy, who's this guy? Peter Burns, some guy that works for the SEC network and ESPN. It's like, I don't know how you can tell the difference between the SEC network and the ESPN, but that's a different story for a different.
Well, they're owned by the same people.
But he goes,
it's the same thing.
I know it's a joke because it is part of ESPN. But he goes, Alabama went 7-2. He was like, Notre Dame's highest FPI team is this, or this. And then he's like, and then Alabama went 7-2 against FPI teams in the top 35. And my response to him on Twitter was, A, the committee doesn't look at FPI. But if you'd like to look at FPI, let's look at FPI. Because here's some data for you, Mr. Let's look at the FPI and use the FPI. Notre Dame's 3rd in the FPI. Bama's 7th in the FPI. Miami's 7th in the FPI. And Bama's 8th. So you can miss me with the whole, well, but they're 7-2 against their own model calculated that Alabama's not as good as Notre Dame, not even close to Notre Dame, or Miami for that matter. So it's hilarious watching these ESPN talking heads like just jump in circles to try to convince themselves that Notre Dame is not something that they are. And it gets frustrating and annoying at times, to be completely honest with you, but it's also not at all surprising because that's just who they are. But yeah, and by the way, Notre Dame was ahead of Alabama before yesterday. If you want to say title game shouldn't matter, cool. Bama was 1 spot ahead of Miami. They were 6. Miami was 7 before yesterday. Now Notre Dame is they're 7, 8. Miami 7. Notre Dame stayed put at 3. So they weren't even close to Notre Dame before this weekend because again, they barely win games. Like this is a team that lost by 2 touchdowns to Florida State. This is a team that lost to Oklahoma at home despite outgaining them by almost 200 yards. This is a team that got destroyed last night by Oklahoma or at Georgia. This is a team that also needed miracle fourth quarter to beat a 3-9 South Carolina team and needed some gutsy late game stops to beat a 5-7 Auburn team who had fired their coach. So you can miss me about, oh, well, you shouldn't fall because of the title game. Alabama should fall because they haven't been good for 2 months. That's why Alabama should fall. So will they? Let's just say, what do you guys think is going to happen? Let's go through it. Give me your 12, 1 through 12.
Oh, all 12? Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
All right. I thought we were just talking 9 through 12 here.
Go ahead.
If you've
Fred.
got your go ahead.
And this is what we think the committee will do or what we think they should do?
What you think they will do.
Okay.
You can give both if you want. And say, hey, here's what I would do, but here's what, feel free to give both if you like.
Okay. Fantastic. So here's what I think that they should be. Not what the committee will do, but I think it should go IU, Georgia, Ohio State, Texas Tech, Oregon, Ole Miss, Texas A&M, Oklahoma, Notre Dame, Miami, Tulane, James Madison. That's what I think that the rankings should be. What I think that they will do is I think that they're going to go IU 1. I could see a world where they have Ohio State still at 2, and they just flip-flop IU and Ohio State because they're the only teams that entered conference championship weekend both undefeated. So what I think they will do, IU 1, Ohio State 2, Georgia 3, Texas Tech 4, Oregon 5, Ole Miss 6, Texas A&M 7, Oklahoma 8. And then I think that they're going to do Notre Dame 9, Alabama 10, Tulane 11, James Madison 12. I think they're going to leave Miami out, unfortunately.
Yeah. So my 1 through 12 I've got that I think will happen, right? This is what I think the committee is going to do. I think I use number 1, Georgia 2, Ohio State 3, Tech 4, Oregon 5, Ole Miss 6, A&M 7, Oklahoma 8, Notre Dame 9, Alabama 10, Tulane 11, JMU 12. I think that that is exactly what they're going to do. I think that Miami is going to get left out, and I just think it's not even a Miami-Alabama question. I just think that they set themselves up to keep Alabama in, and no matter what was going to happen, that's how it was going to go. And that's not how it should go. I think it should be those exact rankings, except in the 10th spot, I think Miami should be there. Everything else, I think, is going to be the same. I think it should be the same. Now, we can talk about Ole Miss and where they belong and all, but that's neither here nor there at this point because the committee made it very clear that they don't care. They even said,
were going to drop them, they should have dropped them.
At 100%. They even said, well, they've stabilized their program and the offensive coordinator's back and they have a permanent head coach. So they have completely explained away the Lane Kiffin stuff. So
Which is funny because they have the CFP selection principles up right now. And the fourth point is unavailability of key players and coaches that may have affected past performance or likely will affect postseason performance.
So basically what they did when they moved Oklahoma up or Ole Miss up was they basically said they're better without Lane Kiffin. Right. They went from 7 to 6.
Exactly what they said. And
which is nuts.
whoever draws Ole Miss, good on you, because you're probably going to win. Good for you, because even though it's going to be a home game, for Ole Miss as well.
Brian, what about you? What do you think the committee's going to do?
What I think they're going to do is Indiana's going to be 1. I'm writing it as I go. I think Ohio State's going to be 3. I think they should put Georgia 2. I think when you win the SEC championship in as impressive fashion as they did, and I would know if Ohio State, if Penn State was as good as they normally are and Michigan was as good as they normally are, I would have said Ohio State's strength of schedule is strong enough that they should only flip with Indiana. But it's really not. They had a very low strength of schedule, and it's not their fault. It's not their fault that Texas lost 3 games. It's not their fault that Penn State stunk. It's not their fault that, you know what I mean? Like, you can't control it. It's not your fault that Wisconsin wasn't good, all that kind of stuff. But I would drop them to 3. I would have Georgia 2, but I think they'll just flip Indiana and Ohio State. I think they'll have Georgia 3. I think they'll have Texas Tech 4. I think that you'll see Oregon 5, and they will play number 12 JMU. I think Duke should be in over James Madison. James Madison has a terrible strength of schedule. The only Power 5 team they played, they got beat by 2 touchdowns. Like, Duke's played multiple teams that are going to be in the playoff. They had a 7-point loss to Tulane. Like, I'm sorry. It's a joke that Duke should even be in. I mean, it's not it's no bigger joke that JMU is in than a 5-loss Duke is in.
Duke is better than JMU. Period.
Duke has a better chance of competing against Oregon than James Madison does. Number 6, I think, will be Ole Miss. I expect them to be a rematch against Tulane, which is no one wants to watch that. Neither team's going to have their head coach. No. 7 is going to be A&M. I think A&M should have been higher. They should have been 6, but they won't be. I think they will play number 10 Alabama. I think Miami should be in at 10 over Alabama. I think they'll have Oklahoma number 8, and I think they'll have Notre Dame number 9. I would have Notre Dame 8 over Oklahoma. I think they're a better team, but Oklahoma has a legit very high strength of schedule. And I think that's going to be the thing that separates. That's why I would put Notre Dame over Oklahoma, but you've never heard me go off for 5-10 minutes about how Notre Dame should be behind Oklahoma.
Right.
And they Oklahoma. They should be, but I understand why they're not.
And the committee has made it clear that Oklahoma is going to be over Notre Dame. And so it's a moot point on that one as well. I agree with you. I think there's an absolute argument to be made. And if you're
They've never mentioned that Notre Dame and Oklahoma are being considered. They've only ever said Notre Dame and Alabama.
And if you're
right. Go ahead, Vince.
If you're a Notre Dame fan, going down to Norman, Oklahoma, okay. It could be a good game. Oklahoma's defense is absolutely legit. It is going to be a heck of a game, if this happens, obviously, with Notre Dame offense versus Oklahoma's defense. This is going to be one heck of a game. I think the game is won on the other side of the ball with Notre Dame's defense versus Oklahoma's offense, to be perfectly honest. So it's a tough game. It's a playoff game. It's on the road. Like, it's all of those things. But I like Notre Dame's chances. So I'm okay with that.
It's also just about, like, look, you can say, hey, I would, like, there's things that I would do differently that I'm not going to be pissed if the committee doesn't do it. I'm not going to be pissed if the committee doesn't put Georgia ahead of Ohio State. I think they should. I'm not going to be pissed about it.
Yeah.
Ohio State's been the best team in the country, in my opinion, with my eyeballs all year. And they lost in a, last-second game last night where their field goal kicker missed a field goal. You know what I mean? Like I'm not losing my mind if they don't do what I would do in that scenario. Fine with it. I'm not going to lose my mind because A&M's not up 1 spot over Ole Miss. If we're going to accept the premise that Ole Miss should be in.
Right. Which is a whole different conversation.
Right?
Yeah.
If you want to say, hey, look, if there's no rule that says losing a coach shouldn't hurt you, then okay, I'm fine with Ole Miss being where they are. I'd still have A&M ahead of them, but I'm fine with it because they have a slightly better win than A&M's best win, right? Yeah. Ole Miss's best win is at number 8 Oklahoma, and I think they had better game control against Oklahoma in that game than A&M did against Notre Dame in their win, and Notre Dame's number 9, right? So it's splitting hairs. I would have A&M higher. I'm not going to lose my mind over it. I'm not going to lose my mind over Notre Dame being behind Oklahoma, even though I would have them different. Like, there's a difference between saying, hey, I would go this way, but I understand the counter argument. I can live with it. Bama being ahead of Notre Dame is something I'll lose my mind over. So, you know what I mean?
Before they're going to, in theory, announce here in a couple of seconds when they come back. I just want to throw out there that on FanDuel right now, Notre Dame has the 3rd best odds to win the national championship.
Yeah.
Okay. So just to throw that out there, it's going to be very hard to win the national championship if you're not in the field. And right now they have the third best odds to win the championship. So, just want to put
so what we're going to do when they do announce is we'll just announce it, and then we'll talk about first of all what it means for Notre Dame briefly, and then we'll talk about all of it. Then we'll kind of dive into if Notre Dame is in. If Notre Dame is in, then what does it mean, the matchup a little bit? If they're not, we'll then just kind of probably go off for a little bit about how ridiculous it is that they're not in.
Probably.
So we'll find out. But I'm more confident this now because of some stuff that's leaked out that Notre Dame is going to be in. But, we'll see.
Yeah, it's kind of like how I felt last year in the Sugar Bowl. It was like after Jaden Harrison got that kick return, like I was pretty confident Notre Dame was going to win that game. But until the clocks hit 0-0, it's like, we'll see.
Yeah. I think one thing that needs to come out of this is even if they stick with 12 or 16, whatever they do, there needs to be a minimum ranking standard for a conference champion to get an automatic bid.
Yes. 100%.
Just like if your conference has X number of if they eventually go to X number of automatic bids, I can live with that as long as you were to, which I don't like, but I would live with it as long as you say you have to at least be ranked in the top 20.
Right.
Or whatever,
right.
If it's
something
a 16-team playoff, if it's a 12-team playoff, you have to at least be ranked in the top 16.
And if you don't have 5 conference champions that are ranked in the top 20, then it becomes an extra at-large bid.
That's right. That's right.
You want, at the end of the day, you want the best teams in. That's what you want, right? And I'm even like 50-50 on whether the group of 5 should be included in the first place. But
I think they should be included if they're ranked in the top 16.
Yeah,
like last year, Boise State earned their win. If Boise State would have been screwed over by the committee and say they ranked, the reason I'm okay with the conference championship tie-in is because let's say the committee purposely screws a team like Boise State and drops them from 9 to 13 for whatever reason because they don't want them in. There needs, just like if there's an SEC bias, you need to protect other conferences, things like that.
Right.
And then so it looks like they're kind of getting ready to release them here real quick. So
just throwing blank brackets as usual.
Yeah, I know, right? It's like, come on.
Yes.
So Indiana is the number 1 seed. They are going to do what Vince, Trev, you and I talked about. They're probably going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. Then
because everybody knows. Yeah.
Indiana's the number 1 seed, which we expected. That was a heck of a win from Indiana last night.
It was
absolutely.
It was. Win. Field goal is important. Field goal
that was
kicking is important.
Great defenses doing battle. Is what that was last night. And I just think the one team had a little bit more experienced quarterback, and I think that played a role. I think Ohio State's also a pretty beat up team right now, and that helped Indiana, but I'm not taking anything away from Indiana. That was a heck of a win last night. Absolutely heck of a win last night. Signetti's done obviously a tremendous job. Absolutely tremendous job.
Just proved to me the kickers are important, Brian. Just going to throw that out there.
Yeah. No, I get it. I know a kicker who went 1 for 1. Ohio State is number 2. So we talked about what they should do. So Ohio State falls 1 spot. So now the precedent is set. You lose your championship game by 3 points, you fall a spot. That means if you lose your championship game by 21, you should at least fall a spot.
Right.
So I think this bodes well for Notre Dame, in my opinion. So they're going to take forever talking about these teams. They're going to drag this thing out.
We're going to get highlights, and we're going to get this.
Yeah, I was about to say this is. We should have an over/under of what we think should take longer.
Here's the deal: if Ohio State loses or drops a spot for losing a 3-point game to the number 1 team, then there's no excuse not to have Bama drop a spot.
Just a spot.
Just a spot. And then now there's the magical buffer between Notre Dame and Miami.
Right.
That's basically how it should be. There's no excuse not to drop them. So with Ohio State number 2, they fell a spot. They were 1 last week.
Right.
So, yeah. Yep. So we'll see. Number 3 is Georgia, as we expected. So far, it's kind of what we expect, boys. I think we're going to, the first few are going to not change at all, obviously.
No, like 5 through 8 is just hopefully just don't run a highlight tape for each of these teams because that's about the most straight.
I think they're going to go 1 through 4 and then do 12. Is just what I think is they're going to do. So,
I hope so.
Yeah, because this is going to take forever. But
we're going to let it come
down
to the wire.
Yeah. I still say Georgia was impressive enough last night, and their last win was back in September. You know what I mean? To Alabama, a team who's a borderline top 10 team. So
yeah,
I expect Texas Tech to be next. There's no reason they're going to.
They should be. There's no reason they shouldn't be.
Exactly.
I mean, they were 4 before. They're not going to fall after winning.
Right, and they are 4. It's official. That was a impressive performance by Texas Tech because they didn't bring their A game yesterday. and still
No.
found a way to keep it close for a while, and then just poured it on BYU in the second half. So I was very impressed with what Texas
The
Tech
final
did
score was Texas Tech a bunch and then BYU 7, wasn't it? That was the final?
Right.
So like BYU jumped out in front 7-0 and then Texas Tech scored the rest of the way. Like that.
Right.
Like
it was close. Like I think BYU had some chances to score and turn the ball over and some things like that. But like, it was a competitive game early. I don't know what they're going to release next. So now it gets interesting. So now is when we get into I'm not quite sure what they're going to do conversation. So I don't have the sound, because if we can't have the sound on, because if the sound gets picked up, then we get dinged. We get demonetized if there's any sound whatsoever in our background. So I can't hear what they're saying, which is probably good for the stress level and the annoyance factor. Number 5 they're really going to go 5-12. Number 5 is Oregon. They're seriously going to go front to back.
I bet you what they're going to do. I bet you what they're going to do is they're going to go 1-8 and then 12-9. They're going to do some goofy stuff like that. I bet you anything. Yeah. I bet you anything.
So Oregon's an interesting team, fellas, because when the first ranking came out, I said I thought they were too high. They were a one-loss team. They lost to the only good team they played. Literally the only good team they played. I thought Notre Dame should have been higher, but we said at the time, but I'm not upset about it because they can earn their way in. And they had a great month of November. Great month of November.
Yeah.
Oregon in November hosted USC, went on the road to Iowa and on the road to Washington.
And won 2 of those games by double digits. And where they never trailed, really. I mean, I think they trailed USC like 7-0.
Yeah.
And outplayed them the rest of the way.
And then the one game they did trail, they were without like their top 4 passing targets on offense.
Yeah.
Or the one game they didn't win by double digits.
Right. Ole Miss is number 6 as expected. So the rematch between Ole Miss and Georgia in round 2 is going to be entertaining. That's going to be, I think, a Georgia beatdown.
And Ole Miss is sitting there. Ole Miss and Oregon, for that matter, are sitting there pretty because they're probably going to get 2 group of 5 teams to play, which is ridiculous. I'm sorry. I mean, honestly, it's not that ridiculous because the other alternative is you get 8 and 5 Duke. No. I totally get
honestly,
it.
James Madison might beat Duke. Like, for all we know, it's just we have no idea.
Duke looked pretty good last night. They looked pretty good last night. I think they would run over James Madison.
Well, James Madison's a pretty decent team, for that level. Number 7 is Texas A&M. So far, so good. I mean, it's kind of what we thought.
Exactly what we thought. The only difference is Ohio State and Georgia are flipped, which at the end of the day, it's
no, I thought they would have Ohio State 2. I said they should put Ohio State 3.
I did not.
I said I think they should drop them to 3, but I don't think they would drop them to 3. I thought last night, but the more I thought about it, I did a projection last night and I had Ohio State falling to 3. But the more I thought about it, I thought they probably won't drop them 2 spots. Because then if they drop them 2 spots, they have to drop Bama 2 spots.
Oh, A&M has
and I don't think they want to do that. So what?
That's A&M has balloons.
Vince is just Vince is just in his own world.
Number 8 is Oklahoma. So they are going to, so are they going to now go number 9?
Probably not.
They're gonna go 12. I just got a feeling.
So Oklahoma's 8. Again, we thought that Notre Dame should move ahead of Oklahoma, but we didn't think they would, and I think we're all in agreement. We're not going to be upset about it. We understand why Oklahoma's heading Notre Dame, right?
Oh, absolutely.
We all right. And honestly, I kind of like it that way because then you have to go on the road and prove yourself if you're Notre Dame.
Yep.
If leave no doubt. So now we find out who's are they going to go straight to 12 or are they going to go to 9 first? Come on, guys. Just give me 9. Here we go. Just don't screw with us. Don't Trevor might have a heart attack over here. Oh, they're going to sit here and talk about these resumes again. Here we go.
Oh, good. Are you serious?
Yeah. Deep breaths, Vince. Deep breaths. I'm over here trying not to lose my mind. If Notre Dame's not 9, I think they're out. Like, honestly, if Notre Dame doesn't move up to 9, then I think they're out. I just So how would hilarious would it be if the only loser of a number 9 is Alabama? I think Notre Dame's out.
No way.
Yep. Wow. I cannot believe
how do they
Alabama
stay in the same spot?
They lost by 21 points in their conference championship and did not drop. That is an absolute joke. So how do you justify Ohio State and BYU dropping? Absolute joke.
How in the world do they keep
I'm
Alabama
absolutely
in the same
disgusted
spot?
right now. Absolutely disgusted right now.
They're going to put Miami at 10. Watch.
They're going to put Miami at 10.
Miami at 10.
Yeah, they're going to drop Notre Dame out. This is absolutely disgusting. So Alabama loses by 21 points. Ohio State drops a spot. BYU is going to drop a spot, but Alabama doesn't drop a spot. Are you serious? This is disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. I cannot believe this. They're going to screw Notre Dame big time. This is torture right now. So it looks like the FanDuel leaks were not correct. This is so gross. This is absurd. I want to barf right now.
There is still a chance that they get in at 10.
I get that, but I just feel like
I get you.
Yeah, like the fix is in at this point in time. Like, I'm very curious to see what Pete Bavacqua has to say about all this. If Notre Dame gets left out, he better fight like holy heck. If they get left out, this is so gross. Number 10, Miami. Notre Dame got left out of the playoffs.
Wow,
unbelievable, absolutely unbelievable, absolutely unbelievable.
Well, here we go.
That is the most absurd thing I've ever seen in my life. This is so hold on a second. Ohio State loses to the number 2 team in the country by a field goal, and they drop a spot. BYU loses in their conference championship game, and they drop. But Alabama gets beat by 3 touchdowns, and they stay the same. And Notre Dame, who didn't play, the only opponent they played, won their conference championship, and Notre Dame drops to 11? Are you serious? This is the biggest screw job ever. The absolute biggest screw job ever. You know what? We're going to talk about Notre Dame here in a second, but guys, this is disgusting. This is absolutely disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. I can't believe this. I won't watch a second of the playoffs. This is disgusting. Trev, you're muted. I want to hear your guys' thoughts.
You know,
I can't even with this.
I can't believe So head-to-head didn't matter the whole time until they didn't play a game. Like, that makes no sense to me. So that part doesn't make sense to me. The part that Alabama doesn't move an inch after getting their butts kicked in the SEC championship.
They've lost 2 of their last 4 games. 2 of their last 4 games.
To me.
Like, their last 4 you know what? And if you're in here trying to be like, told you so, I'm putting you out. This is not the freaking time for that bull crap. Okay? Not the time.
I closed the chat. I'm done with the chat, so I'm not even looking at it anymore.
Not the
because
time.
It'll just make me even more upset.
Yeah.
Because the conspiracy theorists unite, and I'm not here for it. So
yeah. How does everybody else fall in the conference championship except Alabama?
I'm beside myself.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable. I mean, the committee has now successfully set a precedent that, like, then why move Ohio State? Ohio State should still be 1.
Right.
BYU should still be in the playoffs.
Exactly. Why is BYU at 11? Why did they fall? Why did BYU fall? Why did Ohio State fall? I mean, every conference champion fell except for this one. This is ridiculous. They said all week last week it was real close between Alabama and Notre Dame. Real close. So it's real close, but then they're just going to ignore Alabama getting beat by 3 touchdowns. You know what I mean? Like, that's a travesty.
Yeah, the committee's lost. Travesty. They've lost all credibility to me.
All.
Like, it's now to the point where it's like, okay, so you genuinely don't get, like, the metrics don't matter.
Nothing.
So there is no, I don't want to hear the next committee chair, or if it's still €100 check. I don't know if they redo it every single year or what. There are no metrics. There's no relative scoring. Don't talk to me about strength of schedule, because they put up a graphic just now talking about how strength of schedule and strength of record and all that stuff favored Notre Dame over Miami. If the only thing that matters is head to head, why did you wait to make the switch until they were right next to each other?
Right.
That's not how head to head works.
And they shouldn't have been right next to each other, because they had to manipulate the system to get them next to each other. Because again, last year, all 4 conference champions fell, and they're all 4 dropped. Texas played a far more competitive game than Alabama did last year against Georgia, and they fell. Notre Dame was the first team out. Shocker. Like, that is absolutely disgusting.
Well, it's unbelievable. I mean, moving forward, if I'm a team that's playing in my conference championship and now you don't even get punished slightly for losing, don't play your starters.
Right.
Legitimately.
Yep.
Like next year in 2026, if I'm a head coach at the Power 5 level and I'm one of Ohio State, I'm one of Indiana, one of Georgia or Alabama or whoever plays in these conferences, I'm not playing starters. Because the committee just set up, you can lose by 21.
Yep.
And not even drop. Like, I thought Alabama was still going to make the playoffs because I figured the committee was going to do that over Miami. This was the week that you decided that despite Notre Dame leading for 5 weeks in every metric, that's when you make the switch. That's Bush League.
And why should there have been a buffer? If Miami was not better than BYU or Alabama, but they were better than Notre Dame, then Notre Dame should have been behind Miami at number 12 in the last ranking. It makes no sense.
This is a joke.
So Notre Dame going into the last weekend was 9th and Alabama was 10th. Notre Dame beat Stanford 49-20. Alabama beat Auburn by a touchdown and lost to Georgia by 3 touchdowns. Yet that was good enough to get them in. And this is what I said last night. I said my big fear was that if Virginia didn't win, that they would feel they have to put an ACC team in. And that's what I think ultimately happened. And they weren't going to drop Alabama out because ESPN and SEC are in bed together.
Yes, 100%. That's absolutely
all this
what happened.
is. ESPN and the SEC are in bed together. They're afraid of Greg Sankey, and they didn't want to leave the ACC out. And I'll
leave them out. They got 5 teams in. They got 5 teams in. What do you mean leave them out?
ACC, Vince.
Oh,
I
the
said
ACC. Which is
they didn't
bull
want to
crap.
leave the ACC out.
That's what happened. Is Duke upsets Virginia, and you've got to have an ACC person in there. That's bull crap. That's absolute bull crap.
Yep. Absolutely.
Because if you didn't have Miami ahead of Notre Dame the entire season, how do you do it on the last day of the rankings when neither team played a game? Neither team played a game.
And you
and
idiots can miss me with the whole joint a conference thing, because I just watched a team get in from the ACC who didn't even play in their conference championship. And they had a 5-loss team. You can miss me with that stupidity. So you come on.
The committee just made a decision to put in a team in the playoffs that lost their conference championship game by 21, and a Miami team who is the only team ranked in the top 25 with 2 losses to unranked teams.
Yep. This is ridiculous. And somebody said decline a bowl game. They don't need to decline a bowl game because you don't throw everything out because of that. There's a lot that comes out of a bowl game, but this is absolutely disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. Are you guys listening to this crap? Have they explained why?
I turned it off.
Yeah, I turned it off. I mean, I have it on mute. I can't. They're talking to Nick Saban. What do you think he's going to say? Like,
oh God,
come on.
It's a 3-hour-long show. At some point between now and almost kickoff in the 4:00 NFL games, they're going to talk about why Notre Dame got left out. But regardless of what they say, I mean, that is just incredible.
Well, it's a made-up argument. It's a Chat GPT argument, basically, that they're going to have as to why Notre Dame is left out. Hey, dear Chat GPT, give me a good reason why Notre Dame got left out and Alabama and Miami made it in. Like that. That's what it's going to be. And there's not going to be a good excuse. And all we're going to do is complain about what the excuse is, because it's going to be garbage. There's no way that you can say with logic that those two teams should be in over Notre Dame, period.
Mm-hmm.
Period.
Yep. Yep. And somebody just said, it's amazing I'm trying not to call people names because I've already apologized for calling people names. Somebody said playing in a conference will give you a higher strength of schedule than playing as an independent. False, because Notre Dame has a higher strength of schedule than Miami.
Yeah. No, it doesn't.
So there goes that
nonsense.
I mean,
if Notre Dame joined the ACC and played more ACC teams, their strength of schedule doesn't get better.
Yeah.
Sorry, it does not get better. It might get worse.
Yep.
So stop with all that nonsense. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
Yep. Yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous. It is. I really am curious what Pete Bavak was going to say about all this.
This is not how I saw this going.
Well, let's then shift the focus then here, fellas, and talk about what's Notre Dame's plan of action from here on out for the rest of the season and moving forward.
First one for here I'm going to look back a little bit. Stop being bad in September. I mean, this is really where it's at. You had we said at the beginning, you had to come out of those two games 1-1. You come out of those games 1-1 and you're sitting pretty. You can't lose both of those games. I mean, to a degree, A, Notre Dame got completely screwed. B, you put yourself in this situation by losing your first two games to the two best teams you played.
Yep.
I mean, so some of this has got to be talked about, right? You join a conference. No, beat one of Miami or Texas A&M, and you're in the playoffs. It's that simple. They shouldn't have got left out. They're one of the 10 best teams in the country. This is absolute bullcrap what happened today, but this is also on you. Like, you don't do that. And second of all, why did they wait till Friday before championship games before we finally heard anyone at Notre Dame make any kind of positive case for Notre Dame? There's this assault going on ESPN for 3 weeks of people going at the committee about Miami. Where was Notre Dame? Where was the prominent Notre Dame people making that same case? But at the end of the day, if you'd have handled your business in the first two games, guys, you're sitting here saying, are we going to be 5? Are we going to be 6? Where are we going to be? That's where you're at right now. And in 3 of Marcus Freeman's 4 years, they've lost a bad game early in the season, or they've lost a game at home in September. And 3 his 4 actually, was the Ohio State game in 2023 at home?
Yes.
Was that in September?
Yeah. Yes,
that was in the September. So in all 4 of your years at Notre Dame, you've lost a home game in September. Fix that, and you're in the playoffs. So to a degree, we will continue to rail about the corruptness of the system. 100%. We will rail against the corruptness of the system, the hypocrisy of the system, the absolute joke of what happened today. But if you do handle your business in September, you're not in this situation.
Yeah. And we said that before. Like, Notre Dame put themselves in the position to put it out of their hands. 100%. Look, if Notre Dame is 11-1 right now, they're in competition for a bye, not hosting, a bye. Mm-hmm. So, you stop Texas A&M from going down the field when you're up by 6 on the last possession of the game. You're probably getting a bye right now. If you don't allow a amazing one-handed catch at the goal line, you're probably in line for a bye right now. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. And I can be, and we will be, as ticked off at this committee and the way everything went down and it's messed up, all of those things, because they're all true. But at the end of the day, if you take care of your own business, you are not in this position. Absolutely agree with that. Absolutely agree with that. And this is if we're going to look big picture, right? And you said it, right, Brian? This is something that has been a problem for Notre Dame under Marcus Freeman. Early season losses that you shouldn't lose, whether that's to big-time opponents, whether that's to crappy opponents, or whatever the case may be. Early season is an issue. And so you kind of need to go back and look at everything that you're doing in the offseason, how you operate in fall camp, whatever it is, everything needs to be reevaluated at this point. And I know that's part of his mantra. You challenge everything and, all of those things. Well, that's what you need to do. You need to challenge everything at this point. And the good news, if we're going to go glass half full, Notre Dame gets a ton of guys back going into next year. Obviously, they're the chances, look, they're going to go to a bowl game. The chances of a bunch of guys sitting out of that bowl game are slim to none because there's a bunch of guys that are coming back for next year, right? And you've got 24 of your 27 high school recruits. They're going to be reporting in, in the spring. So that you're going to have pretty much your full depth chart in the spring. So that's a good thing heading into 26. Now, again, I'm not saying, okay, now you time to turn the page and all that, but this is not going to be a shell of Notre Dame in the bowl game. Because if you look across the board at the guys who are probably going to go to the NFL draft, you might lose the backfield. You might lose Malachi. That's about it, maybe, on offense. And then defensively, yeah, there's a couple guys that may sit out, but you're going to have pretty much the whole team playing. So you get one more time of watching Notre Dame play and demolish some opponent that they're going to play. So
another lesson that has to come out of this is, and it's unfortunate that it has to be this way. It's very unfortunate, but Marcus Freeman, you can't allow garbage touchdowns at the end of games anymore. Because I had to listen to idiots say, well, no, Miami beat 3 teams more convincingly than Notre Dame did. They beat 1 team more convincingly. But here's the deal. With 1 minute left in the Notre Dame Miami game, it was Notre Dame Pitt game, it was 37-9 Notre Dame. They gave up a garbage late touchdown. And with 1 minute left in the Miami Pitt game, it was 31-7. Miami scored a garbage touchdown. You don't give up the garbage touchdown, which we talked about at the time you can't do. Then all of a sudden you beat them 37-9, and now the 38-7 doesn't look as impressive because everybody knows it's a garbage touchdown. You're up 42-3 on Stanford. Keep the pedal to the metal. Now, all of a sudden, that 49-20 game compared to their 42-7. Now, you and I all know it was 7-7 at halftime with Miami and Stanford. Notre Dame was up 35-3. But the committee showed you very loud and clear that they look at that stuff. They're going to be influenced by that stuff. It's a joke, but that's the reality of it. So handle your business in September. And unfortunately, if you don't handle – now, here's the thing. If you're the number 5 seed, if you're playing – if you beat Texas A&M in week 3, you can give up all the garbage touchdowns you want. But you have to be realistic to know that if you're on the bubble, especially if you're playing, if another bubble team is the team that beat you, you have to have some awareness of this. You're the head football coach at Notre Dame. Don't let your defensive coordinator go back to doing what he did the first 2 games at the end of every game. Just saying. But you put yourself in this situation. Again, we all say they got screwed. They got absolutely screwed. But it's like my dad told me when I was a kid, when unfortunate things happen to me, he's like, well, it's unfortunate and this shouldn't have happened, but had you not been here, done this, said that, we wouldn't be in this situation.
Yep, exactly.
If you'd have handled your business in September, we're not in this situation.
But the difference between, and I'll just say it, and maybe this sounds petty and I don't care. The difference is Notre Dame will take accountability for being out of the playoff. The other teams, if they would have gotten out, they wouldn't have. It would have been everybody else's fault. So I do think that you're going to hear Marcus Freeman say, we needed to take care of our business, and we didn't, and we left it up to somebody else. That's a problem.
Yep.
You can't leave your future up. And I tell my kids this. Don't leave your future up to somebody else. Don't do it. It's the same thing with college football. Don't leave your future up to somebody else.
Yep. Trevor said that at what? Right after the Texas A&M game.
Yep.
You said Notre Dame's destiny is no longer in their control.
Correct. And they went out there and they beat teams by an average of 30 points. And they still got left out. So, hey, message to college football, right? Message to college football. Don't leave it in somebody else's hands because it doesn't matter what you do after you lose 2 games. It does not matter. Like I said the other day, Notre Dame should have just fired Marcus Freeman because maybe they would have gotten a boost in the polls.
Yeah, I know you're being sarcastic when you say that.
Of course, I'm being sarcastic.
It is an absolute joke.
I said this in the offseason. And I said that Marcus Freeman, over the next 2 years, is going to show me personally. I don't want to speak for anybody else. I don't want to speak for Brian. I don't want to speak for Vince. This is me specifically. Over the next 2 years, Marcus Freeman was going to show me if he was the guy to bring the 12th national championship to South Bend. Now more than ever, that is relevant. You talk all the time about challenge everything. You talk all the time about everything from top to bottom has to be under evaluation here. And you have to try to model it, unfortunately, after a playoff system that makes no sense. Because I would say, yes, you have to handle business in September. You got to stop with the bad losses in September, unless you're Alabama and you can lose to a 5-17. Well, then it's like, okay, well, they have to handle business down the stretch. They did that. Miami lost to 2 unranked opponents in 3 weeks, and they still made it in. You can miss me with the conference championship stuff. Ohio State,
because they got knocked out by a team that's not in the conference title game.
Ohio State won the national championship last year, not playing for a conference championship. Notre Dame made it to the national championship last year, not playing for a conference championship. Ole Miss, Texas A&M, Oregon, Oklahoma, all made it into the playoffs this year without playing for a conference championship. So you can miss me with all that too. So what Marcus Freeman has to do is sit down and evaluate specifically for his program, what do you have to do to be better in September? And everything is under evaluation at this point. Literally everything. Not even just what do you do during camp. Here's an idea. 2 weeks before the season starts, don't take your team leadership to New York to go on the Today Show and every single TV show under the sun. Maybe you do something locally. Maybe you do something for the media team around here. Maybe that's a step. Maybe you put the best 11 guys out on the field on offense and defense to start the season instead of waiting for mistakes to happen, and then that forces your hand.
Right.
Maybe you start to take control over the side of the ball that you came into South Bend to control, and don't leave it up to somebody else that's not yourself. Nick Saban wouldn't do that. And what did he do during his time down in Tuscaloosa? If there's position battles, and yes, I'm not naive to the fact that some may go up to the wire. Maybe another reason why your team wasn't able to get fully going until later on in the season is because you waited until the last second to name a starting quarterback this year. Maybe. Everything has to be under evaluation in this offseason, and you can't leave it up to chance. I'm as mad as the next person. I'm as mad as the next person that this playoff committee absolutely botched these rankings. Absolutely botched it. And I'm going to have a lot more to say about it in the coming days. With that being said, and I said the same thing at the end of the Texas A&M game when we were getting all the super chats in and I was getting all the texts about, I can't believe they missed that holding call on Donovan Heinisch. I agree. Don't give up 34 points up until that point. This is the same concept, just bigger picture. Don't drop back-to-back games. Hey, Notre Dame administration, don't put Notre Dame in a position where they have the 2 hardest games to open their season compared to anybody else in the country. Maybe don't do that, because obviously the playoff committee isn't going to punish you if you play Grambling the next week, or if you play Eastern Illinois in November, or if you start your season Villanova, FAU, Nevada, because clearly the committee's not going to punish you for that. Maybe do that. Maybe. You need to put all hands on deck, all the research. You're not going to sit here and convince me that Notre Dame doesn't have the money to get out of this agreement with the ACC. Not going to convince me.
Because you just lost $20-some million because the ACC went on a month-long campaign against you and you alone. And you sat back and took it. Yeah, they were mad behind the scenes. I know John Bryce has reported that sources are mad behind the scenes, but you sat back and took it. So do something about it. Let me see you do something about it this offseason. Because otherwise, here's the thing. If I walk up to somebody each day and I just smack you in the face, and you go home and complain to your wife about how upset you are that I keep smacking you in the face, but every day I keep smacking you in the face and you just walk away, guess what I'm going to think I can do? I can just keep smacking you in the face. And I don't care if you go home and complain to your wife about it, because I'm still going to keep smacking you in the face. Now, if I come up and smack you in the face like, that ain't happening, and you beat the brakes off of me, guess what I'm going to not do the next day? I'm not going to smack you in the face.
Nope.
You know what I mean?
Nope. Brian, you and I have been talking about this for a couple weeks. If Notre Dame is going to continue to be painted like the villain in college football, you got to just become it. You got to stop with this Dabo Swinney, shucks, just everybody be my friend, and we want to help everybody out. Screw everybody else, because they're not trying to help you out. You need to do what is in the best interest of your institution and your football program. If that includes going out to New York 2 weeks before the season starts to go on the Today Show and the Morning Show and Good Morning America and CBS Good Morning and NBC Good Morning, whatever morning show there is, fine. You're not going to convince me that that's the right course of action. But if you feel like that's what's best for your team because all other conferences have their own media weeks, fine. If you think what's best for your team is waiting 2 weeks really 3 weeks to make the necessary defensive adjustments, or waiting for the injury bug to hit, and then that's when you make your defensive adjustments or offensive adjustments, fine. I don't buy it. I think it's a load of bull. But if that's what you think, but you need to start owning the fact that the ACC, not single-handedly, it was with the help of a just brilliant college football playoff committee, but the ACC almost single-handedly left you out of the playoffs by doing everything in their power that they believed, as stupid as we all thought that it was. They did everything in their power that they believed would leave Notre Dame out of the playoffs. Well, here we are on December 7th. Notre Dame is going to be sitting at home playing in some random bowl game, and Miami's gearing up to go play Texas A&M on the road. Those are the facts. So
they just interviewed the chair, and I was reading on closed captioning, which is why I was looking over my camera here. He basically just said they decided to move BYU back, and now all of a sudden you've got Miami versus Notre Dame in the conversation. I know. I'm just telling you what they said.
Why didn't Alabama move back?
They didn't even ask him about that. Did not even ask him. All he said was, we moved BYU back because they got smoked by Texas Tech, and now all of a sudden you had Miami and Notre Dame. And I encouraged the committee to go back and watch that Notre Dame-Miami game, and we all decided that they should get a bump above Notre Dame. That's what he said. Not once has they asked him about Alabama yet. Not once.
Yeah.
Here he goes. Now he's asking about Alabama.
It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. But and people say head-to-head matters. Okay, that's fine. Head-to-head matters. It should have mattered 3 weeks ago. Once Miami got to 12, here's the deal. If Notre Dame was better than BYU and Miami and BYU's better than Miami, and Miami's better than Notre Dame, then you should have moved Notre Dame behind BYU and Miami. It's not that hard. And then we'd have been sitting here saying, okay, well, they're just not going to be in the tournament.
So he said, regardless of Alabama's play yesterday, we thought their body of work was the best. That's what he said.
That's a freaking joke.
That's what he said. He basically he didn't care what happened yesterday. That's what he said.
Yeah.
It does not matter what happened yesterday.
So why'd you drop Ohio State? Why'd you drop BYU?
In spite of their oh my God. Wow.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable. That is the lamest argument I've heard. So the conference championship matters in every other conference, but not in the SEC. Because it means more, Brian.
Right.
It means
more to ESPN because that's
correct.
That's their bread and butter product.
Come on.
That's exactly what it is.
That's garbage.
Yeah. Yeah, it's exactly what it is.
And we knew the explanation was going to be garbage. But to flat out come out and say it, he basically said the game didn't even matter. But the game mattered at Ohio State and Indiana. The game mattered at Texas Tech and BYU.
Which was the first game was far more competitive. Why are you punishing Ohio State, who lost in the final minutes of that game, but you're not going to punish Alabama at all? If the body of work yesterday didn't matter, then the body of work of in Ohio State all years that they were better than Indiana. Correct? Is that not it?
If you're going to make a decision, make an argument that makes sense. That's all I'm saying. Again, we just talked for the last half hour about how this is Notre Dame's fault, right? And I'm okay with that argument because it is.
Yep.
But
it
don't
is,
come at me with this
it's
argument.
Your fault that you were in the conversation
right.
at the end.
Correct. Yes.
You got screwed. They should have been in. If you can miss me forever for saying it's about getting the best teams in. You can miss me forever.
Right. Because it's clearly not. No matter what metric you look at, Notre Dame is better than both of those teams and should be in above both of those teams. Not just one, both.
No question.
Both.
No question.
Miami moves up 2 spots without even playing a game. Yep. Ole Miss moves up a spot after their head coach said, see ya. There's a better job down in the boot. Come on.
I am very, very curious to see what Notre Dame's reaction is to this. Because here's the deal, guys. This isn't just a game. This isn't just, we don't get a chance for a championship. Notre Dame just missed out on 8-figure payout. $20+ million is what Notre Dame is missing out on here.
They're doing the rest of the rankings.
What are you going to do? What's your response going to be? That's what I want to see. I want to see what's your response going to be. That's going to tell us a lot about Notre, because otherwise, again, if you don't fight back at all against the ACC or against this committee, then you know what? They're just going to keep doing it to you. I say, hey, look, no, moving forward, Texas, Alabama, when you come to our place, you're not bringing SEC refs. We're going to have Notre Dame refs. So
they should hire their own. They should have like a group of 10 refs that they kind of rotate around or whatever. Absolutely, they should.
Yep. Yeah, this is you and what he just said is also completely contradicting what he said last week. The body work was very close. So now, no matter, it was so close a week ago, you flipped them one spot, but now no matter how badly they looked in the conference championship game, they did this for one reason and two reasons. Number one, it's an SEC team that's good for their brand, right? Number two, because now you're basically going to you're guaranteed to get at least two SEC teams in the, if I'm looking at this correctly, you're going to have you got Ole Miss, A&M. You have a chance to have 1, 2, 3. You have a chance to have 4 of the 8 quarterfinal teams are going to be SEC teams. You're guaranteed to have 2.
Yeah,
because Georgia's in, and then you got Oklahoma playing Alabama in a rematch. And then if A&M beats Miami, Ole Miss beats Tulane. So you got a good shot of having 3 to 4 because, again, they're going to try to rig the system because they didn't like the fact that only one SEC team was in the semifinals last year. Yeah. And 2 years in a row, there's been 0 SEC teams.
Right.
And then the second reason is because they're afraid of Greg Sankey because the college football playoff, whatever runs it, agreed to allow the Big Ten and the SEC to run this thing. They agreed to that. And now that they're afraid of Greg Sankey, they're afraid if he's going to get rid of the committee. You know what? At this point in time, get rid of the committee because you know what they'd have done if they'd have gone to the old BCS system? Notre Dame's 8 and Alabama's out. Notre Dame's in, Miami's in, Vanderbilt's in, Oklahoma's out, Vanderbilt's out. I mean, Alabama's out. So at this point, go back to it.
I'll just say this. You said that the committee's afraid of Greg Sankey and all this other stuff. Yeah. You know who the committee used to be afraid of? Jack Swarbrick.
Yep.
They're not afraid of Pete Bavacqua, apparently. And I'm not saying that's a knock on Pete Bavacqua, but what I am saying is when Jack Swarbrick walked in the room, there was respect. He's the one that came up with the plan for the 12-team playoff last year. That was Jack Swarbrick. And now all of a sudden Notre Dame's getting nothing. So again, I feel like Notre Dame's not carrying the big stick that they used to in that committee room.
Yep. Yeah. Trev, any more thoughts?
No, I mean, I'm just exhausted.
I have some other thoughts that I want to share about some things that I think Notre Dame should do. Because I'm, here's where I'm at. I don't think this is just an unfortunate situation. Yes, Notre Dame put themselves in this situation by losing their first 2 games. Okay. But the hold against Heinisch shouldn't have come down to that.
Nope.
Should not. Again, I say it again. You're not gonna find a sympathetic ear with me when you make the mistakes you made. You played the defensive system you played. You tackled as poorly as you played, as you did. You left guys wide open, uncovered. The way that you did, you can't get a hold down on a PAT. And this is not everybody. It's Buckner's fault. No, there's a lot of things.
It's not.
No,
it's not. Game. You also allowed the offense to go right down the field on that final drive.
Exactly. You could have made stops. You didn't make stops.
Right.
They beat you twice because they had a kick return for a touchdown. They got called back. Then they went right down the field and scored on you again. You're the ones that gave up, 14. What was it? What did they give up? Like 14, 17 points to Stanford in the fourth quarter of that game. It was 42-3 at one point in time. Stanford outscored you 20-7 down the stretch. That's on you. You pulled your starters. You're the ones that gave up the garbage touchdown at the end of the pick game. All those things those things are all on you. Having said that, you still should have been in the playoffs. Yep. And the process of this whole thing is what bothers me. If head-to-head mattered and it was this ultimate trump card, then Miami should have jumped Notre Dame 3 weeks ago. Mm-hmm. The minute they got up to 14, the minute they got up to 13, that should have automatically trumped that. Simple as that.
Yep.
And when they beat Pitt last week, that it should have said, hey, you know what? BYU, Miami, they have a better case than Notre Dame. You can't say, well, now that they're side by side, we can compare head-to-head. Bull
Dumbest
crap. They were
argument I've
2
ever
spots
heard.
apart last week. Notre Dame was 10, Miami was 12. If head-to-head mattered, Miami should have been ahead of them. It's absolute bull crap. It's an absolute lie. It really comes down to the fact they didn't want it. They're not going to put Alabama out, and they didn't want the ACC to get shut out. So if I'm Pete Bavacqua and I'm the leadership at Notre Dame, they flat out need to say, we need to find a way to get out of this contract and find another home for our other sports. That's exactly what we need to do, whether it's the Big East, whether it's the Big Ten, whatever it may be, and not for football, for the other sports. Find a home for your other sports. Because what the ACC did to you just cost you $20+ million. The ACC did nothing but focus on your program for the last month. So you're going to just sit back and let that happen? You're just going to sit back and just say, let them walk all over you, or are you going to do something about it? Because now I'm at the point now where it's like, let this stupid conference die. Don't help them out anymore. Say, hey, you know what? You don't really consider us a member anyway. You spent the last month violating the contract that we have with you, which is you don't go out and bash another ACC team. But you decided you could do that. So we're not going to help you survive. Best way for us to get out of this stupid contract is to let you die. And then in 2030, when Florida State, if you can't get out sooner than in 2030, when Florida State and Clemson get out, because now the buyout's a lot cheaper, and then we're going to sue to get out because the league we agreed to be a part of is no longer the league that you're in. Do something to push back on this. If they just sit back and take it, and just send a sternly worded letter to the ACC, then basically what ESPN, what the committee, and what the ACC has known is that this is not the Jack Swarbrick-led Notre Dame anymore. They will sit back and let us walk all over them and try to bully them to being in a conference. That's exactly what they're going to do if Notre Dame doesn't fight back. My question is how will they fight back? That's the question. That's my
It's
question.
$1 million question, man. I mean, I think you laid it out perfectly. Notre Dame's plan of action from here on out needs to be twofold. And on the field and off the field, you can separate it into two different buckets. The on the field one is simple. Handle business in September, and if you can beat a team by 80, beat a team by 80.
Yep.
Because clearly that's all that mattered in the eyes of the committee. As much as we can sit here on shows and talk about, it'd be so cool to see so-and-so get in the game, not until it's 80-0.
Mm-hmm.
Not until you've beaten the team the way that, for whatever reason, box score watching didn't matter up until the final couple weeks of the season. So in November, if that's what you want to do, then you just got to start doing it to teams, unfortunately. And then off the field, I agree with everything that you said. I said it earlier. There's no way you're going to convince me that Notre Dame can't come up with enough money to get out of the ACC contract.
Yep.
Immediately.
And if Notre Dame allows this to be something that bullies them to a conference, then you have incompetent leadership and you're cowards. If this bullies you into a conference, forget that. You weren't in a conference last year. Again, don't lose your early games. Schedule differently. Don't have a bunch of tough games to back. Give them at least one warm-up game before they have to go play Texas or Alabama, which is not really what they're doing in the future. But I'm very curious to see what Notre Dame is going to do.
So
this off.
It sounds like it's going to be very, very expensive to get out of the ACC deal. Now, Notre Dame can get money.
My thing is what's more, Notre Dame can raise the money, first of all. It gets cheaper in 2030. But what I'm saying is there are things, I promise you there's things that they could look at legally and say, you violated our agreement.
Yeah, exactly. You're right.
And we're going to take, I think they have a stronger case to get out than Florida State and Clemson did.
Sure. Because the ACC isn't coming at Florida State or Clemson like directly. So I'm hoping they bookmarked every one of those tweets that the ACC put out, just completely bashing Notre Dame, because that was not a smart move on their part. And it does violate the grant of rights that they have. To get out of the grant of rights, it's about $100 million from what it looks like. But you're right. They could go to court, but who knows how long that's going to last. So, it's not for people that think they can just walk into the ACC headquarters and be like, we're out. and then it happens at that at that moment. It does not. It's going to be a multi-year situation because then, of course, Notre Dame needs to schedule and they need to get into a new conference and all of those different things. So there's a lot of stuff that has to happen. To that point, I think the exploration needs to start. You always 100%. Hear these presidential candidates be like, I'm putting forth a exploratory committee to run for the president of the United States. I think Notre Dame needs to put together their exploratory committee to look at other possibilities for conference affiliation for their other sports. And if they get, like you said, if they get bullied into the football team joining a conference that is a travesty at a level that is unknown to sports ever, because there is no reason that Notre Dame football needs to be in a conference. No reason at all. Zero. The only reason Miami got in, and I fully believe this, is because Virginia crapped the bed. If Virginia wins that game, Notre Dame's in, because they were afraid of not having in an ACC representative. 100%. Duke winning that game, which they had no business winning, absolutely screwed Notre Dame and allowed Miami to jump on. Don't give me this head-to-head right next to each other bull crap. They've been 2 spots away.
And that crap doesn't make sense either, because you can't drop Ohio State for losing a close game.
Correct.
And a spot and not drop Alabama a spot.
Every other conference championship game loser dropped in the rankings. Every single
year.
one.
Every
one this year, including the group of 5. Group of 5. North Texas went down a spot because they lost. Every single other conference championship game loser dropped a spot except Alabama. And I thought they were going to drop them to 10. I really did. And then bump Notre Dame to 9. Then you got that buffer, and Miami would have been the first team out. It was such an easy thing for the committee to do, and they decided to go completely the opposite direction, which there is no explanation
obvious.
For it.
It's so obvious too. So, and literally there's never been a team ever that lost a conference championship since 2014 that didn't fall at least one spot.
One spot.
Including a 10-2 SEC team who was ranked 2nd, who beat Georgia in the regular season by 3 touchdowns, and then lost to Georgia in the SEC title game by 21 points. They fell 5 spots behind an Alabama team that jumped in despite losing to Auburn the week before.
This is embarrassing. The whole thing's embarrassing.
So I want to address something that's in the chat. People saying don't accept a bowl invitation. That's stupid. Vince, let's handle it like a little bit more rationally than that. I understand the emotion of that, but you don't screw over your players because you're mad at something that happened to you from the outside.
Correct.
There's tremendous development for this team going into next year by playing in a bowl game. Look, you're probably, the sad thing is, it just kind of hit me, is we're probably never going to see Jeremiah Love playing a Notre Dame uniform again.
Nope.
The best player in college football, in my opinion, is not going to be playing in the college football playoffs. But you're going to probably have some other guys sit out, as it happens every year. That's just part of the business now. Now you have an opportunity to let CJ Carr get another month of work. You have a chance to let some of your young – let's just say Malachi Fields sits out for argument's sake. Cam Ward gets a lot of reps. Micah Gilbert gets a lot of reps. Your young players on defense are going to get a lot of work. There's a lot of things that you're going to benefit from by playing that's going to help you next year be a better football team. So with all due respect, I understand the frustration of wanting to sit out. So I'm I get what you're saying, Vince. I understand where people are coming from. People are pissed. They just want to burn the whole thing down. First thing I'll tell you to do, if you're that pissed, and cancel any memberships you have to ESPN, Disney, or Hulu, or anything like that. If you're really that mad, if you want the Notre Dame players to not play in a bowl game, to turn down millions of dollars that they'll get from playing in a bowl game, then you should at least be willing to give up your $20 a month membership to Disney or ESPN or whatever else, right? I mean, that's number one. But it would not benefit the program. It would not have benefit the players at all to not play in a bowl game. That's basically where I'm at on that.
Yep.
So I
everything you said is accurate. Everything you said is accurate. And Notre Dame not going to a bowl game isn't going to send the message that you think it is either. Like outside of everything you just said, because it's all true. All the development, all of these different things. And the offense is going to look pretty much exactly the same as it, or pretty close to exactly the same. It doesn't send the message that you think. Like ESPN, like, okay, don't go to a bowl game. We don't care. Like it doesn't affect
some other
anything.
Team from another conference will get a payroll, and then that money goes to them.
Doesn't make any difference. So that's not the message that you want to send. It's kind of a petty, burn it all down, kind of a message, and that's not the message you want to send.
I understand it. I do. I get it. It's just not. That doesn't help Notre Dame at all. That just hurts Notre Dame. It hurts the players. At the end of the day, this is supposed to be about the players, and that's kind of where it's at.
We got some super chats before we get out of here, fellas.
Have they announced real quick? Have they announced Notre Dame's bowl destination yet by chance?
I think so, but I flipped it off. As soon as they were going to interview Kurt Signetti, I turned it off.
Yeah. So real quick, let me find it here. All right. So yeah, I don't see anything yet.
I sent you the options. Did you see it in the private chat? I sent you the options.
I did.
That are available.
I did.
Okay.
I was just trying to find something.
Yeah. No, for sure. It'll come out at some point today. Yeah.
All right. So, yeah. So I guess we'll find out here soon enough. But anyway, here we go.
From Fleece's Pieces, thank you for the super chat. Notre Dame still had the third best odds to win it all on FanDuel right now. That was put in before the playoff rankings came out.
No, that's not what he put in the thing, Trev. He said Notre Dame still has the third best odds to win it all on FanDuel right now. Come on now.
Yep.
I know you're in a bad mood, but you got to get the super. Hey, he paid $5. He gets the Super Troopers reference. All right. So we're all mad, but we're still gonna have a good show. Here's the next one. Right.
Forklift 1976. At the end of the day, this is what happens when you don't take care of business.
Yeah. I mean, we kind of said that. Yeah. I mean, you don't want to get left out. Win those two games.
Yep.
That's really what it boils down to.
Mm-hmm.
Win those two games.
Correct.
Super chat from Sean Boyle. Thank you, Sean. It was going to be a cold day before Alabama was left out of the playoffs in back-to-back years.
I don't disagree with that. I just think they did it the wrong way. That's all. They laid it out for themselves to do it in a way that was at least explainable. And they did it in a way that's not explainable. Like that's my biggest issue with this whole thing. Okay, yeah, you're going to keep Alabama in. I would have had an argument that Miami probably deserved in over Alabama. We would have had that argument. We were prepared for that argument. But you did it the wrong way. Yeah. You did it the wrong way.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think somebody in the chat has a great point. Here we go. This is hilarious. Let's join the American and go 12-0 every year and then get the automatic G5 bid every year.
I mean, shoot.
I mean, if it's that stupid that you have to be in a conference, which is dumb, then okay, fine. Join the American, and then now Notre Dame will be the highest ranked team every year because they'll go 12-0 every year, and they'll be the highest ranked G5 team every year.
That would be terrible.
It'd be terrible. But is it that much different than playing the ACC?
I know, and they get the payday at the end of the but they'd have to share it with the American. That's the difference. They'd have to share the money with all the Americans.
Would gladly give that up to get Notre Dame into their league. Let's be honest about that.
No. I'm saying Notre Dame would have to share their money with the American.
No, what I'm saying is the American would gladly give that up and let Notre Dame keep whatever the heck they want to get Notre Dame into the American.
I see what you're saying.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
I got
the coaches would hate it, but all the presidents and ADs would be all about that action. Here's another thing, too, I want to push back on a little bit. And I get the frustration, but hey, guys, I have an idea. Let's play Old Dominion, Kennesaw State, and Indiana State like IU did. I get all that, but you know what? IU had to play 2 top 5 teams this year, and they beat both of them. One on the road,
beat Ohio
State. But my point is like you played Oregon on the road and you played Ohio State in a neutral field and you beat them both. Yeah, I get it. You had time to get, but again, Notre Dame had all summer to get ready for Miami. Miami didn't have an extra game to get ready for Notre Dame. Like you know what I mean? Like handle your business. Don't get your butts kicked in the trenches against Miami. Right? Don't just do all the absurdity that led to you twice blowing double-digit leads to Texas A&M. It's not that hard. So, yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying, Thomas. I really do. But at the end of the day, all you had to do was win one of those two games.
Yep. Correct.
That's it. But, yeah, Sean is correct. They weren't going to leave Alabama out.
No.
Which is a joke.
And we knew that.
I just thought it was.
Like, here's the thing. You should have at least protected yourself a little bit better. Don't move Ohio State back.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, don't drop BYU out. You can't drop everybody else in the history of the playoff rankings, but then decide randomly not to drop Alabama.
That's just it. Yeah, it doesn't make sense. It makes no sense.
Super chat from Iden Benami. Appreciate you, Iden. I've said since week 2, all Chris Ash's fault.
It's not all his fault.
It's not all Chris Ash's fault. I mean, number one, Chris Ash didn't hire himself.
Correct.
Chris Ash called a game he was allowed to call both times. Chris Ash I don't blame for why you couldn't tackle a guy with 3 people by him at 50-yard line. Now, do I blame Chris Ash for some play calling in that game? Do I blame him for sort of adjusting the defense after you went through camp doing one thing? Yeah. Do I blame Chris Ash for not playing Dallas Golden sooner and having Carson Hobbs in the slot? Yes. Do I blame them for not playing Tay Johnson sooner? Yes. Do I blame them for playing a passive defense? Yes. But you didn't throw the interception that set up another Texas A&M touchdown. Chris Ash isn't why, a lot of things happened in those first 2 games. It wasn't all on Chris Ash, but at the end of the day, Marcus Freeman hired Chris Ash, gave Chris Ash full control of that defense. And so ultimately that's up to him.
Mm-hmm.
So I get it.
There's blame to go
around. I don't think Chris Ash was the answer. I didn't think he was the hire at the time. I still don't think he was the best hire, but that's the hire that they made.
From Robert Nash, thank you for the super chat. Virginia losing hurt us.
Agreed. In retrospect, absolutely. I didn't think it was going to matter as much as it ended up mattering.
Yep. Yep. I was afraid of that last night.
I didn't even watch that game because I didn't think that it was going to be that big of a deal because I figured Virginia was going to win, first of all, but here we are.
So Notre Dame is number 5 in FPI, by the way. No, they're not. They're 3rd. I'm literally looking at it right now. 10-2 Notre Dame, number 3. 12-1 Ohio State, number 2. 13-0 Indiana, number 1. So, no, that's not correct. It's exactly what I said it is. They're 3rd.
I think they're also 4th in the FEI.
Yeah. Has that updated yet?
Yeah.
He did update that early because normally it doesn't update till like Monday. Yeah, it's updated. So Notre Dame's 4th. Miami's 9th. Alabama's 10th. Oklahoma's 13th.
Super chat from Forklift 1976. Appreciate you. I wonder if we were going to see some shakeup on the defensive staff.
I doubt it. Everything that Marcus Freeman has said in press conferences leads us to believe that he's totally happy with the job Chris Ash has done this year. So,
yep.
Don't agree, but I mean, hope I'm wrong. Hopefully he's just because Marcus Freeman doesn't like to throw people under the bus in public,
sure.
and I commend that about him. But I also haven't heard anything negatively. But I haven't really asked a whole lot either. I haven't spent the last month. Hey, are you going to fire Chris Ash at the end of the year? From different sources. I haven't spent a lot of time on that.
Well, and this says defensive staff. I assume he's referring to Chris Ash, but are we talking position coaches? Because I think all in all, the position coaches are doing a good job from what I can gather. I mean, would you guys agree with that?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, a lot of the changes that Notre Dame makes, shakeups on the coaching staff are very, very low on my own personal priority list.
Agreed.
Like I don't know if the answer to being left out of the playoffs in just a very, 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 very controversial way to put that lightly is in turn to start firing people on your own staff.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, agreed.
Super chat from 5219.
You only do that because you would have made that decision anyway.
Right.
Like if it took this to have you say we should make a change, then you should have already known this. You should be savvy enough to say we shouldn't have even been in this situation, and then that's what you're going to do. Yeah.
Super chat from 5219 Spark. Appreciate you. Please, every Notre Dame fan, cancel your ESPN, Hulu, Disney, and subscriptions now.
Yeah, if you're someone that was in the chat that has a membership to Hulu, Disney, ESPN, and you're saying can't boycott the bowl game, then you go first. You go first. Don't tell Notre Dame to not play in a bowl game if you're not willing to give up your ESPN, your Hulu, your Disney, and stuff like that. That's all I'm saying. So if you are one person said that, I'm with you. I actually think that there's a lot of merit to that for a whole lot of reasons. But if you're going to say that, and you're going to say Notre Dame shouldn't play in a bowl game, then you go first.
Yep.
You go first. Cancel your memberships.
From Sean Lucero, appreciate you. 5 SEC teams is laughable, and Oklahoma, Bama being exempt from the chopping block is a joke.
I agree.
Alabama more so than Oklahoma, but I agree with you completely.
I don't think Oklahoma's a very good team. I understand why they're ranked.
Oh, I don't
high,
either.
I mean, and all the computer models wouldn't have them in either. If they use the old, I think Bill Connolly put this out. I think he said, what did he say? Something like he put a BCS, like if they used the same BCS computers, Oklahoma would have been like 14th or something like that. So, yeah. Super sticker from AK109 football guy. Appreciate that very, very much. But yeah, the 5 SEC teams this year is an absolute joke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Super chat from Lou Holtz, Thunder and Bolts. Thank you, Lou. Bama and BYU both lose by 21 and 28 points. One gets penalized, one doesn't. That is objectively inconsistent and therefore corrupt. Convince me otherwise. Wish I could, Lou.
I won't.
Nope.
I
Not
won't
pushing
even
back
try.
on that. Nope.
No.
Ohio State lost by 3 and went down a spot.
Yep.
3
In a
points?
10 times more competitive game than
Yes.
what Alabama played.
They were a 27-yard missed field goal away from going to overtime, and they drop a spot.
Mm-hmm.
Make it make sense. Make it make sense, because it doesn't. And of course, ESPN's not going to ask that question to Hunter Yurchek. They're not going to ask that question.
No.
Come on.
Because
The
it's all
obvious question.
they're all on the same.
Right.
They're all in the same place.
The obvious question on this whole thing, they're not going to even ask it.
No. And it's all yes, exactly. It's yeah.
Super chat from GU Knight 75. Appreciate you. Nobody wants to see a pissed off Marcus Freeman. Notre Dame will average 50 a game next year.
I hope so.
I want to see it
Specifically in September.
I'm Brian, 100%.
In September.
Yeah.
Let's see it.
Like, look, we had some frustrating comments about Marcus Freeman. Look, Marcus Freeman's done a terrible job getting his teams ready in September. Overall, he's done a tremendous job at Notre Dame. They just signed the #1 recruiting class in the country. Right? There's a lot of things going well that Marcus Freeman is doing, but until you win a championship, then you should always be looking in the mirror saying, am I as good as I can be? Am I making all the right decisions? And sometimes, like one of the things that bothered me about Brian Kelly is they would lose a bunch of close games. Remember in 2015, just got to coach a little harder and play a little better, or play a little harder and coach a little better. Remember when he said that bull crap and brought Brian Van Gorder back? We all knew that wasn't the right move. We all knew that in 2014, but he still did it. Like, that's the lessons that Marcus Freeman's got to show me. Is like, yeah, okay, your defense ranked here, here, and here, but they should have ranked here, 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 and here. And what do you have to do to get them there? Is it a personnel change? Like you might lose some. I mean, look, Michigan State just hired a new head football coach. There's a pretty established linebacker coach now at Notre Dame staff. You don't think that there might be some conversations about him maybe coming to be a D coordinator? You don't think people are going to be beating down the door to be like, holy crap, Mike Mickens is putting elite defensive backs on the field every year and just signed the best DB class in the country at Notre Dame. Maybe we should bring him in as our defensive court. You don't think that's a possibility? So, look, you've got to be prepared to say, what are we going to do to make sure that this staff is the best that it can be? And it's got to be better than it was this year. Well, we were really good for 9 games. Okay, cool. But those 3 games kept you out of the playoffs. I mean, the 3 games your defense wasn't good, kept you out of the playoffs. So who's on that? You don't just say, hey, play a little harder, coach a little better. That's Brian Kelly stuff. So, yes, I love what Marcus Freeman's doing, but that doesn't mean because I think he's a tremendous human being and he's a great guy and he's exactly what you want at Notre Dame, doesn't mean that he's beyond criticism either.
100%.
And he's got to find some answers for why his team is not good in September.
Yep.
And yeah, but the overall point is, yeah, I hope that you're right. I need to see it. I need to see that pissed off Marcus Freeman.
Yes.
If you were mad about losing the title game last year, you just got denied a chance to compete for the title with a team that's way better than last year's team. So are you going to be pissed about that now? I hope so. I really hope so.
Yeah.
I just need to see it.
And it starts with whatever bowl game they play. That's where it
exactly.
starts.
Oh, I would run the score up so far in the bowl game just to, that's how that's how you do it. You don't not go to the bowl game. You destroy whoever it is that you're playing in the bowl game because there are bowl game opportunities against Big Ten teams, against SEC teams. You go out there and you destroy whoever it is that you're playing, and then do better in the offseason. Like that. That's the answer right now in the short term. In the short term.
Yep. I just look. And when I say run it up, I don't mean leave your starters in. Jeremiah Love's in. You're up 49-3 in the fourth quarter against Stanford, and Jeremiah Love's still in the game, and you're handing the ball off to him. All your starters are on defense. That's not what I'm talking about. But what I'm saying is when you put Madden Frame on the game, when you put Bodie Cahoon and the backup linebackers in the game, turn them loose. Let them heat up that team just like you let the starters heat up that team. Let Kenny Minchie throw the ball just as much as you'd let CJ Carr throw the ball if it was the first series of the game. That's what I want to see. That's what Bobby Bowden did. And people get mad at him for running up the score and all that kind of stuff. And that's fine. But he would say, look, those kids practice hard too. They get a chance to go run our offense. So yeah, let them do it. Let them do it. But that's, and that's not just me saying that emotionally. The evidence is right here in front of you. The evidence is right here in front of you. You got to be better early, and you got to absolutely annihilate people. You may not like it, but that's the reality of it. And so you got to figure out what's the right way to do that. Am I throwing garbage touchdowns with 30 seconds left? I hope that's not the thing that does it for the committee. But 2 minutes left, and they're going to play cover 1, cover 0, throw a bomb. Let Cam Williams go out and beat somebody on a go route. Let KK Smith do that or something like that. You know what I mean? What does it look like? That you have to figure out. But at the end of the day, this is the message the committee sent to you. So you're going to receive that message and change your coaching style accordingly, or are you just going to be willing to say, well, I'm not that kind of guy, so we're just going to keep getting screwed? It's up to you. It's up to you. But don't suck in, the biggest thing they have to evaluate is how do we get better in September? If you're going to give us the schedule, either A, change your schedule, or B, figure out how to be better in September. Knowing you can play a deeper rotation of guys in October and November when you get to the part where your schedule is not as tough.
From Gage Natror, sorry if I butchered that. Appreciate you, Gage. CFP must think the Raiders are the number 1 team in the NFL, too.
That's ridiculous. SSG said, what bowl game do they go to now? We don't know the answer to that yet. Thank you for your super chat. I appreciate that. Here is the next one.
From SP, thank you for the super chat. Any chance Notre Dame pulls out of the ACC for all other sports and moves back to the Big East? Excuse me. After everything that's transpired the last few weeks.
If there's a way that you could get out of the ACC deal without having to pay the full buyout, then I would say that's totally acceptable to me. The one thing I would do, and I've said this before, Trev, I'm not opposed to if the Big Ten's willing to do a deal with us like the ACC did, then I'd take that deal. I don't know that the Big Ten would want to do that. I have no clue. I'm simply saying you go to them and at least ask them. You're already in the league for hockey. Hey, look, we want to join you for every other sport. Okay, cool. Maybe they say, hey, we'll join you for some sports, but we'll do a football deal with you in this sport, but we don't want to do basketball because we have 18 teams in the league. All right, fine. Do Big East for basketball. Yeah, there's things that you can do. I'd at least go to them first. And if they say no, then you go to the Big East. Because I've said before, I want to play Michigan State more. I would much rather play Michigan State and Purdue than Wake Forest, Duke,
100%.
North Carolina, NC State, teams like that. Because the reality is those teams will still schedule you. Duke will still want to schedule you. Wake Forest will still want to schedule you. You just signed a 12-year deal with Clemson outside of the ACC contract. So if you want to be in the Carolinas, that's cool. Schedule a ACC team every year. That's fine. But I don't care about the rest of these teams. BC will still play you. Pitt will still play you. Their head coach may not like it, but the AD will probably still do it. But I would absolutely do that. Absolutely do that. If you could get out without paying the full buyout.
And getting out is not going to happen like quickly. Like that's not a next week announcement. Like it's not going to happen. Like that's going to be.
They don't do it because they're pissed. It's a legal thing. Right.
Right. It's going to take a few years to make that happen. Yeah. So if they do jump out of the ACC, there's no way it happens before 2030.
Well, I will say this, though. If Notre Dame announced right now, we plan to leave the ACC in the year that the buyout goes down to here, that would do irreparable damage to the ACC.
True.
And that would be something where I would very curious what ESPN, because there's another in the next year or two, there's another deadline, I believe, for the ESPN to decide if they want to renew the contract or extend the contract with the ACC. If Notre Dame's no longer part of that, I'm curious what that looks like. Because now you're going to look at it and say, well, basically Florida State, Clemson, and now Notre Dame have all said they're getting out in 4 years. So what's the point of us having that league in with a contract through 2036 or whatever?
Right.
Or whatever.
That's where they're at right now. The grant of rights goes through 2036. Right. So you're still looking at another 10 years.
Right.
Yeah.
Now the buyout is going to be a lot cheaper in 2030 per what happened this summer.
Right.
But I mean, Notre Dame could, if they wanted to, get out of the contract now. They could just pay the buyout and get out. But you'd have to raise $9 million, like 9 figures worth of money. Could they do it? Sure. Will they? I don't know that that's the best use of $100 to $200 million. Right, what is it? $100 million is right now, Vince? I don't know.
$100 million.
At an academic institution, I don't know if that's the best use of resources.
Right.
Unless it was like all just you had a couple big donors that just wanted to.
They said, we want screw it, we'll pay it.
Yeah,
sure. Yeah. But point being, something that we all three talked about is that the groundwork needs to start being laid now. The response can't be, well, it'll get cheaper later, and it's only till 2036, so we're just going to go back to work and keep working hard. And no, the groundwork has to start being laid, regardless.
Yep. Agree.
From ND Lou 22, appreciate the super chat. Freeman needs to make this his villain origin story. The killer instinct we see from him at times needs to be on at all times next season. Yep.
It's 100%. This is what we talked about yesterday or earlier this week, Trev. They're already going to hate you. They're already going to try to screw you over. They're already going to talk bad about you. They don't want to be your friend. Like they want to get all the benefits of being in a relationship with you, but not show you the respect they expect you to show them.
Yep.
Cool.
Yep.
That's already the deal. So now you just need to give them all a giant figurative middle finger and say, we are going to now, if you don't like us, we're going to really give you a reason not to like us now.
Mm-hmm.
That's 100% what they need to do. All right. If you're going to, if you're going to sit there and say, hey, we want everybody to love us, even though there's nothing you can do to make them love you, then you're a fool. You're that guy that keeps chasing after that girl in high school that will never give you the time of day. She just keeps you around to be friendly enough to do her homework and, get those advantages, but she's always going to date the quarterback. She's always, you know what I mean? Like, that's who you are. You're a clown. You're a fool. If they're going to hate you, then you know what? Screw that. Fine. You guys want to talk about me. You want to be that way. Then I'm just going to then really, really lean into that. Really.
Self-awareness is going to be Notre Dame's best friend for the next 8 months. You have to take a hard look in the mirror at where you're truly at and what people actually think of you. And to your point, if people are already going to not like you anyways, it has to be the similar situation of when, the Big Ten denied Notre Dame all those years to join their conference. And then when Notre Dame started doing well, they finally wanted them in. And they got to accept the mantra of, hey, this is the monster that you guys created. And that has to be the same sentiment back to the playoff committee. Same sentiment.
Agree.
From Brandon Plensner, appreciate the super chat. Maybe they should wait until late November, December to do their team media tour. Stop being so nice and fight your program. Put your foot down.
Yeah. Agree.
I mean, overall, that's the absolute sentiment. Stop being so nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
From Brian's Balloons, LLC, does this force Notre Dame to consider joining a conference? They were left out for not being in a conference, plain and simple. I do not want them in, by the way.
No, they weren't left out because they weren't in a conference. They were left out because of Bama and – I shouldn't say that. To a degree, they were left out for not being in a conference. Because if they were in the ACC, this is a different conversation. But I don't care. Because at the end of the day, if you'd have handled your business at the beginning of the year, yes, I'm pissed about what happened right now. But again, if you'd have handled your business in the 12 games that you played and not gone 11-1 instead of 10-2, like last year, the Northern Illinois loss was way worse than any game that they lost this year. Way worse. They got outplayed more. It was a worse team, and they still got in. And they got in as the number 5 ranked team in the playoff, meaning they were the 7 seed, but they were the 5th ranked team. Why? Because they handled their business in all 11 other games. If you'd have handled business in 11 games instead of 10, we're not having this conversation. So I understand where you're coming from, but to me, again, I'm just never going to be a proponent of when the bully comes at you, you just give him the lunch money. I'm never that guy. I'm never going to be that guy. That's not me. That's not who Notre Dame should be. 100 years of independence thrown down the toilet because you got mad that you got left out of the playoffs. Do something about it then. And that ain't it. Like, just joining a conference ain't it, because now you've lost everything that makes you Notre Dame, in my opinion. So no, I don't think that should be the response to it.
No.
I understand where you're coming from, but I don't.
No, and it's a very simple answer, and it starts with all the stuff that we talked about that they can do off the field. It starts with don't lose to Texas A&M by 1 point at home, or don't lose to Miami by 3 points on the road.
Exactly.
Plain and simple.
Yep. Being in a conference would allow a lesser team to get in, and that's not the stance that I want to take. Like, yes, Notre Dame deserved to be in this time around, but like being in a conference is like a backup plan to not being good enough to get in on your own merits. That's what that says to me. Well, we're not good enough to get in on our own, so let's join a conference so we have a backup plan to get in.
Right.
No, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. I'm sorry.
Yes. Yep. You don't let the bully, because then it's like, what are they going to do next? Okay, well, we just showed that we can punk Notre Dame into whatever, so now we're going to try to punk them into this. Screw that. I'd rather be left out of the playoff in years where you go 10-2 than to be in a conference.
Well, and the second Notre Dame joins a conference, they're going to get flack for what conference, barring it being the SEC. That's what's going to happen next.
Let's say they were in the ACC this year, and they finished 10-2 and lost at Miami. Guess what? Miami's still getting in because they beat you head-to-head. Let's say they joined the SEC and came down to them and Texas A&M. Guess what? Texas A&M's still getting in because they beat you head-to-head. Handle your business. Don't go 10-2. Like, two things can be true. A, they got screwed. B, they should have handled business better in the regular season.
100%.
Absolutely.
Joe Papiti, I hate being right. I felt this coming. Love thee. Well, Joe, I love you, man, but you were always going to kind of assume that the worst case scenario was going to happen. And if they got screwed, you were going to be right. Hope that makes you feel better. I don't think Joe's saying that in a I
Right.
feel better now kind of way. I don't at all. But yeah, that's not surprising.
Super chat from Jared Z. Bear. Appreciate you. ACC screwed us. Miami and Virginia ACC championship equals controversy over all bubble teams get in, and we don't have two G5. ACC truly fumbled it. Screw them.
I mean, I think there's truth to that. I said this to a buddy last night. I don't like here. Actually, I'll read the text that I sent out. Here I sent him. I said at 11:58 last night. I said I'm a tad concerned right now. Will they leave the ACC? Will they really leave the ACC out? That's right after the Virginia game got over. I sent that text out last night. My buddy said I am too. I have a bad feeling we're going to get screwed. Yeah, but but allowing them to bully you into this, because here's the deal. Guys, they're going to expand to 16 teams in the next year or two anyway.
Right. Probably next year.
And they're in. You know
right.
what I mean?
Exactly.
So
exactly. Yeah, 100%.
You don't overreact to that regard. There's things that you react properly to. And telling the ACC to go, you know what, themselves is something that I'm a big fan of. And I felt that way for a month. But, yeah. Let's get to the next one.
From Alex Udell. Appreciate you, Alex. Ultimately, Miami jumping Notre Dame was BS, but it is head-to-head. Bama staying put is obviously rigged. The committee will never be trusted or fair, long as ESPN and the SEC are tied together.
Well, and the problem is the media that could call them out for it won't actually do anything about it. Remember how there used to be all these newspaper exposés on illegal recruiting and all these other things? That stuff never happens now.
Newspapers don't exist anymore.
Well, they do, but the point is it's like.
But newspaper men don't exist anymore because they've all gone podcasting and they've all gone away. Like
they've gone away from journalism.
Right. Correct.
Whereas. Like I've never claimed to be a journalist. I've said I'm an analyst. The name of our site is Irish Breakdown, not Irish News Journal. So like we don't do that. But like there are people like, look, your job is but now because of the way that teams are, because the business model is that you can't avoid, you can't go at the team you support. You know what I mean? Like if you say something negative about the team you support and you're a journalist, you get savaged. You can't write the stories that they used to write. To your point, Vince, if you're a South Bend Tribune, you kind of have to kiss Notre Dame's butt or you lose access.
Correct. 100%. 100%. They're too tied to the teams now than they used to be.
ESPN's definitely not going to do that. ESPN's definitely not going to go write about the fact. I mean, if ESPN was truly like had
neutral.
Had the journalists there, not. I mean, I don't care that Kirk Herbstreit doesn't need to do this. That's not his thing. But the journalists that are there, if they, the people, the newspaper people that cover Georgia, the fact that nobody has any interest in talking about how Georgia has a less than 50% graduation rate is all you need to know about. People just don't care anymore. It's about like
money,
pumping up the team that you support. Like I had a head coach of a P4 team DM me this week. He goes, "Do you really think that Notre Dame should get in, or do you have to say that?" I was like, "What do you mean? Do I have to say that? Like, why would I have to say that?" But that's the thought. That's how it works now. Because in their mind, it's like, well, yeah. I mean, people are going to say what they need to say to support us. I've never been that way. That's why Brian Kelly hated my guts. But that's the difference now. Is the people that could call out this whole travesty are in bed with it. So, of course, they're not going to call it out. So, if you don't fight for yourself, guess what, Notre Dame? There's nobody that's going to fight for you. Not anybody that can make any difference. We did, but nobody cares about our channel outside of a small contingent of Notre Dame fans, which we love and greatly appreciate. But you had a full-fledged frontal assault come at you last month, and you waited until Friday before the playoffs came out, before your AD went out, and it did a nice interview, but like it wasn't a fight. So
no, it was more stating Notre Dame's case than it was pushing
Right.
back on anything that had
Right.
been thrown in their
Exactly.
direction.
Exactly. Now, this could all end up looking like 3D chess. You know, everybody always acts like, you know, the president's always playing 3D chess. And I'm like, no, he's not. And you know, it's like the 3D chess thought is we can't do that because when the lawsuit that we're going to file this summer or in the next year against the ACC comes out, we can't then have responded in kind with similar assault on the ACC. You get what I'm saying? Like you lose your legal standing because then it's worth sacrificing the playoffs this year if it means you get out of the ACC legally. Get out of the ACC. You get the hey, they violated the terms of the contract. We're out, no penalty. You know what I mean? Like if we come to find out that that's part of the plan, then I will sit back and say, great job, Notre Dame.
Yes, 100%.
But if nothing comes of all that in the next year or two, and they just sat back and took it, then I'm going to call you out. Yep. So unless there's some master plan, legal master plan, because you guys get where I'm coming from, right? Like if 100%. You go out and say, I don't know what these idiots are talking about, or here's Miami's resume and this is garbage, and they got, hey, Miami, don't lose to 2 unranked teams or whatever. Because you notice he didn't say anything about Miami. He said the comparisons between us and Alabama. Other than that, he didn't say anything about Miami or the ACC or anything.
Yep.
Okay, well, if you're being advised by your lawyers, hey, okay, if this is true, then when you go out there publicly, then you can't say a word negatively about the ACC, or you lose all standing that we would have in a lawsuit, then that would make sense. I don't know that they're doing that. I'm simply saying that's the only reason that I'll justify Notre Dame basically sitting back and taking all this. Because, I mean, John Bryce has reported that Notre Dame is pissed about what the ACC did.
I'm sure they are.
As I said before, if all you're going to do, though, is just send a strongly worded letter.
Just tell John Bryce. Just tell John, hey, we're pissed.
No,
put it out there. No, I know.
Right. Then do something about it.
Right, exactly.
Do something about it. You know, and if you do something about it, then I'll sit back and say, okay, it was worth it to not fight that fight right now.
Right.
In order to do it. So, got a super stick from Nathan A.S. Brown. Nathan, thank you very, very much. Brandon Plensner says they're more afraid of the ACC than Notre Dame. Not good. It's partly afraid of the ACC. The other part of it is they have a deal with the ACC.
Mm-hmm.
The ACC is also affiliated with the ESPN.
Ryan Bush, appreciate you, Ryan. Can't believe how many people actually believe this process is legitimate.
I don't know that I ever believed it was legitimate, but I guess I didn't believe that they would make one case for certain teams and then complete different cases for other teams in the exact same situation. I believe that there would have been an overarching, like, okay, we're going to do this to make sure that this happens, but we're going to make sure that that is a consistent argument across the board. I might not have agreed with it, but I thought it would at least be consistent. It's not even consistent. It's like, you know what? We just want this team in, so we're just going to do it, and then we'll make up the argument later. That's the part that bothers me the most.
Agreed. I never thought that it was legitimate. I didn't think that it was this bad.
Yeah, exactly.
This blatant.
Yes, it's so obvious. Like, well, if you lose your conference championship game, we're going to drop everybody. Well, because everybody.
It's one thing to say that there's no perfect system, which is correct. Brian, that's something that you've been a proponent of for quite some time, is there is no perfect system. I did not think that it was this, to your point, this flawed. Like, that's what happened today is egregious.
Oh, my gosh, yes.
Yep. And it was blatantly so.
Yes.
And let's be honest, nobody thinks the process is legitimate. People just don't care if it benefits their agenda. That's the reality of it. You know, like we thought Notre Dame was going to get in for weeks, but we still hammered the process. Most people don't do that. So, yeah, I don't think many people think the process is legitimate. They just don't care. That's where we are in society. And I don't know if it's always been like that, but it's kind of like, hey, look, I don't think it's always been like that. I don't care that the thing is benefiting me. It's not right. It's not right. And so I'm going to stand next to the guy that's getting screwed over, even though it's not hurting me.
That's what's unfortunate. If it yields the results that you want, there's no question about how you got there.
Correct.
Yep.
And to be honest with you, I wouldn't have cared if Notre Dame got in, but we still would have had that conversation.
We would have we
hitting a
would have
light under a
admitted that the
barrel.
process
Yeah.
is flawed. Because here's the
Yes.
thing: had Notre Dame got in, but Miami left out, I promise you, I'd have spent about 20 minutes just railing on the.
We talked about that before the show even started. All three of us were like, "No, this is what should happen." We talked about it on the show, for goodness sakes. Like, this is what should happen, but this is what we think will happen, and that didn't even occur. So there's that too.
Yep. I think part of this, this is where I'm going to get super conspiratorial. I think part of it is Trev, you've been talking about this. Vince, so have you. If Notre Dame gets in and you leave an SEC team out, you now put in the 3 hottest teams in college football. Arguably 4 hottest teams in college football right now are not SEC teams.
Correct.
You can take one of them out on your own by just not letting them be in.
Mm-hmm.
And that makes now half the I mean, let's be real. There's only 10 playoff teams in. There's 10 playoff teams and 2 sacrificial lambs for 2 of the playoff teams, right? Half of that is the SEC. You just greatly increased your odds that an SEC team makes it to the championship game.
Correct. And they were very, very upset that did not occur last year.
2 years in a row. 2 years in a row.
Correct.
Because Bama got knocked out and you know,
they're doing
over the ACC 2 years ago.
They're doing the best they can. They're stacking the odds, as they say.
If you're a single man, first of all, I'm a big proponent of marriage. I'm a big proponent of having kids. The one regret that I have probably in my life is that I'm not a dad. That's probably the only thing I look back and regret. Find you a woman that is as loyal to you and loves you the way that ESPN and the playoff committee is loyal to Alabama and loves Alabama. Even last year, being ranked 11th with a loss to a 6-6 Vanderbilt team and a 15-point loss to a 6-6 Oklahoma team, like that's like your wife cheated on you like 10 times and you just take it because you love her that much. That's basically what ESPN did to Alabama last year, and they fought hard to get Alabama in this year. And that's basically what that is. So find yourself a woman that's as loyal to you as ESPN and the committee is to Alabama.
That's a tall ask.
It's a hard it's hard. It's hard.
Like Lauren treats me about as better as any woman has since my mom, and I don't know if either of them love me as much as ESPN loves the SEC.
That's a fact.
Super chat from Erica Seifert. Appreciate you. Not even mad about Miami. It's the SEC bias and not dropping in Bama. Hope they get BTA in 2 weeks. Notre Dame needs to destroy every team here on out.
Erica, have you noticed we have said very little about Miami being in, other than it was stupid the way they did it. If you really felt the head-to-head mattered that much, then you should have done this a week ago, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. Why did you need them to get them right next to each other to compare those two teams? That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard of in my life.
In the first 10 minutes of this show, we went through what we thought would happen and what should happen. And in the should happen category, we all had Miami in the playoffs.
Yep.
All three of us.
Of what should happen.
Should.
Right. So I'm not mad about Miami being in. I'm mad about the process that got Miami in.
And even if they put Miami at 9 and Notre Dame at 10, I think, okay, cool. Well, they're next to each other, so we got to flip them. Okay, cool.
That's fine.
Whatever. Yeah, that's fine.
Bama being in is egregious.
Yes, absolutely. And not
Bama
only just in, but not falling at all, staying at the same spot. And yet every other team that you had ranked that lost in the in the conference championship, they all lost, including North Texas. They went down a spot. They went from 24 to 25. So every single loser of a conference championship game went down a spot. And you said, your own words said, well, it doesn't really matter what happens in a conference championship game. It's more of the resume from the rest of the season. So why didn't that matter for Ohio State? Why didn't that matter for North Texas? Why didn't that matter for BYU? BYU lost to only one team all season. It just so happens they lost to them twice badly.
Right.
So they drop. Come on.
They have more quality wins than Alabama. They're the only team in the playoff. They're the only team in the country that had more quality wins than Notre Dame and Alabama was BYU.
Yeah. Exactly. BYU had
also
more.
Beat two top 20. They have more of a beef than Bama did.
BYU should be pissed right now. They lost to one team. One team.
Yeah. So, no, I'm not mad that Miami got in either. I'm mad at the process that got Miami in and left
100%.
Alabama
James Salumi, appreciate the super chat. November 7th, 2026.
At Notre Dame Stadium, by the way.
in. Yep.
So I hope there's like 7 inches of snow on the ground.
I don't. I want it to be a nice, abnormally warm November day because I don't want to hear
so you don't want the excuses.
No excuses. And look, it's not a given you're going to handle business against Miami because the last 2 times you've played Miami is at their place. You got whipped.
Yeah, you got beat.
So, again, that's the thing. We're show me people. You know,
Yep.
It's my favorite thing. It's one of my favorite things about Trevor is he's like, yeah, this is what I think is going to happen. But I need you to show me.
I like
Prove
his
it to
golf
me.
game.
No,
I've never
I'm glad
seen
you
that.
do.
I don't care.
I'm glad you do, buddy.
I'm trying to make myself laugh at this point, okay?
Go take some lessons from Brian Kelly. He's a master at it.
He could probably get me onto a nice course.
Mhm.
Super chat from AK 1091 football guy. Appreciate you. Stay together, guys. Thanks for the coverage all year, fellas.
That's what we're here for.
Appreciate that, man.
From D Masak 2, appreciate you. Thank you, IB, for everything this season. Not the outcome we wanted, but Notre Dame will be a scary team in 2026. Go Irish.
Yeah. Now my guy Chris, my guy Black Irish Chris is being a little selfish. He goes, I'm hoping they get to play in the Duke's Mayo Bowl in Charlotte. I'll definitely be there. So now that's what Notre Dame fans are doing. It's like, I hope they play in the bowl game near my house.
Guess what? Marcus Freeman doesn't want that because he doesn't want mayo on his head. So
yes, that would be terrible. I'd be like, hey, guys,
that would be the most disgusting thing on the planet. I'm sorry.
The only thing I can eat mayo in is tuna fish.
I'm not saying I don't like mayo, but I also don't want to.
I don't like mayo. I don't like mayo at all. I hate the smell of mayonnaise.
I mean, shoot, man, I love mayonnaise. I put it on every sandwich under the sun. That being said, mayo. I don't want it on my head.
I don't want it on my head. Yeah, exactly. There's no way.
Like I used to make. My wife makes tuna fish for me now, but when I used to make it myself, I'd put some mayo in. I'd put just enough to give it that consistency, but not enough to where it tastes like mayonnaise. I'd get it on my finger. I'm like, I got to get this off my finger. I can't do it.
I think what should happen is, they go to the Duke's Mayo Bowl, they win big, and they got to dump it on somebody. I think Chris Ash gets the dump. He can have the mayo on his head.
Ed 379 said, "How do you eat a BLT without mayo?" There's no M in there. It's not BLT M. I mean, if I wanted a BLT, I'd have bacon, less than tomato, but I'll never eat a BLT because I don't like tomatoes either.
And BLT is an overrated sandwich, anyways. Bacon's a supplemental meat. It shouldn't be the featured meat in a sandwich.
It's a great supplemental meat. But
agreed.
Yeah, no, it's great as a supplemental meat, but you're right. It should not be the main course. I agree.
Like bacon, less tomato sandwich. Isn't that isn't that like the normal topping that automatically goes on to any burger you get? Don't you have to
like I was just about to say, like if the makings of an entire sandwich are what you also ask me to put on a burger, it's not a main sandwich. Can't be.
Yeah.
Can't be.
Yeah. My wife said she wants a BLT now. She's listening to the show and she wants a BLT now. Thanks a lot, guys. Because now who's going to have to make that?
You're welcome. Don't forget the mayo.
Yeah.
Super chat from DB G5 team. Appreciate you. G5 team should have their own 4-team playoffs. JMU, Tulane, Memphis, North Texas. Then Notre Dame and whoever else get in the real playoffs.
I mean, in a year like this, yes, because I feel like, Boise State belonged last year. They proved it on the field, all of those different things. If you're trying to get the 12 best, this is just not it. It's not it.
Mm-hmm.
In all seriousness, though, I would like a G5 playoff, but to DB's point, a 4-team playoff would be a good spot to start. And you take the 4 highest ranked G5 teams, you put them in the playoff, similar to what the 4-team playoff format was for college football before they expanded, because it'd be too much of a jump to go from no G5 playoff to 12 and try to mirror what the rest of college football does. I think that'd be great. From Not a Professional Jay, appreciate the super chat. Chris Ash has improved enormously over this year. Okay.
I don't know that. I think he was. I wonder if there was some sarcasm there with the little asterisks in between enormously, but Look,
Yeah.
if Chris Ash is still the defensive coordinator next year, I hope he does a phenomenal job all season.
100%.
I'll say that. I just think that there's better options and should have been better options.
Super chat from Mike Farino. Appreciate you, Mike. Feel bad for you guys. Alabama has 3 losses by a combined 37 points. Notre Dame has 2 by a total of 4 to 2 other playoff teams.
That's because Alabama lost to 2 playoff teams, but also lost to a non-playoff team. Mike Farino's an Ohio State fan, by the way, so I appreciate that, Mike. Haven't seen you in chat in a while. Appreciate you. He's always been a good poster. Yeah.
Super chat from Richard Ford 289. Appreciate you, Richard. You guys owe the audience an apology for declaring Notre Dame a lock if they won out after they beat USC. A miss from IB.
Okay. Don't remember saying that, but I don't know anybody apology. It's a freaking breakdown. So if I predict Notre Dame to win 35-7 and they win 35-14 or 48-0, do I owe you an apology? Give me a break, Richard. Yeah, I don't owe you a jack, except to give you my honest opinion of whatever I think at the time.
Exactly. And they should have been a lock in.
And I always give you my honest opinion. If I get it wrong, I'll say I got it wrong. Anybody apology? Grow up.
I get so
tired of that. If you make a prediction, people want you to give your opinion and your prediction, but when you give one and you get it wrong, you owe an apology. No, I don't. I work to get better to get it right next time. I owe you an apology. Give me a break.
Super chat from Charles O'Malley. Appreciate you, Charles. Thanks for everything this season. I'm done watching college football besides Notre Dame for the time being, counting down the days until November 7th.
I'm with you. I'm absolutely with you. I will not. I'm telling you right now, I'm not going to watch the playoffs because it's a corrupt thing anyway. I just refuse to watch it. So yeah. I did that 2 years ago and Florida State didn't get in. This is a fraud anyway. So, I mean, I ended up watching the semifinals, but I ended up watching it. So I punked out. I ended up watching it, some of it. But no, it was 2017 I didn't watch. When Georgia, Alabama, and that whole thing, I didn't watch the playoffs that year. I didn't watch the championship game that year.
Super chat from Rod Hudson. Look on the bright side. Notre Dame is about to win 20 games in a row.
Show me. I hope so. Exactly. I really do hope that this is Marcus Freeman's kind of, not say wake up call, because I don't mean it that. I hope this is Marcus Freeman's like saying, hey, guys, we're not going to have this happen again.
Yeah, agreed. This has to be the moment that this is the turning point. I agree with you. This should be the turning point.
Yeah. Real quick from James Salumi. Do you guys think should be staff changes that are firings and not just guys leaving? James, stuff like this will be more of an off-season conversation. But the other thing is, I don't know if you're new to the channel, but we never advocate for coaches to be fired. I have a personal issue with that. I used to be a college football coach. I have been fired before. I just don't think that it's appropriate for someone in my shoes to make that sort of prediction or call unless it's for something that's not related to coaching. A coach does something inappropriate off the field, on the field, that's not related to calling their job. Then yeah, you should be. I should call for you to be fired for cause. But I don't think it's appropriate, and I don't do that. Other people do. I don't. That's their business. We don't do that here. So that's not really part of what we're going to do. But I will say this: they have to make this coaching staff better. I just don't think better is always firing someone. Remember a couple years ago, people were saying fire Al Washington, fire Al Washington. I said, no, I don't want to fire Al Washington. I just want Al Washington to do a better job. Guess what Al Washington did this year? Tremendous job.
Yeah.
Recruiting
100%.
and coaching.
Super chat from Silent Service. Appreciate you. Gruden had an idea of all college football playoff teams not in a conference championship game to play on championship weekend.
But he did, and I don't necessarily have a huge issue with it. But the problem with his thing is he had the group of 5 teams also playing in his mythical thing, and they're all in championship games. So that didn't really work. So you're asking them to not play in their championship games so that they can play in these play-in games. So, but overall, I don't have an issue with it. It just basically what he said is he's in favor of conference expansion. Playoff expansion. That's basically what he said, which, okay, fine.
Yeah.
Super chat from Disilludes. Appreciate you. When you cancel your ESPN, make sure you select a reason as other and write exactly why. Go Irish.
100%.
From Mega Xbox Geeks. Appreciate the super chat. By the end of the day, we should claim the 1993 championship and announce we are looking to get out of the agreement with the ACC.
100%. Now that you know that head-to-head matters when determining who gets to play for a championship, then you should absolutely retroactively. Auburn just did that. A&M did that a couple years ago. They went and claimed a bunch of championships that they hadn't claimed before. I'd 100% would claim the 1993 national championship, because I do know there were some media people that did that. Yeah, that would be a great press conference, a great press release, 100%.
From Dave S., appreciate the super chat. We're all disappointed, but I wanted to take a second and say thank you to all of you at IB for all that you guys do throughout the season.
Appreciate that, Dave. More than you realize, buddy. I really do appreciate that.
From Not a Professional Jay, appreciate the super chat. The first reason we should join the AAC is the easy automatic bid into the CFP you guys were talking about. The second is the rage from the join a conference people would be delicious.
Join the MAC. Hey, if everyone wants us to be in a regional conference, right? The most regional conference there is the MAC. I mean, seriously, if you think about where MAC teams are located, they're way more located geographically that makes sense for Notre Dame than the freaking Big Ten, which now has teams in California, Oregon, Washington, New York, and all. Join the MAC.
Yep.
And you get that G5 bid every year. You go play 2 really good teams, non-conference, and you're good. Go 12-0 every year, 11-1, you're in. There you go. Yep. You don't got to be like 19th or 20th. You're in. So there you go. Call their bluff. I would hate that, by the way. That'd be so gross. Like, I don't actually want them to do that. It's just, it's funny to say that because it's like, fine, you want us to join a league and you're going to have the G5. But knowing the way it is, the committee would do, they would immediately then get rid of the G5.
Oh, 100%.
Automatically.
God, the strength of schedule would be so bad, but Notre Dame would win by 60 every game. It'd be like the worst football ever.
Yeah.
Super chat from Jay Clampett Investments. Notre Dame has to go on the offensive and take a stand from here on out. The way we are better than that attitude has to stop.
100%.
We are better than that attitude.
Yeah,
absolutely.
100%. 100%, my man. You're spot on that.
Hours for Life 99. Appreciate the super chat. The CFP has changed their logo to a big red A.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
The scarlet letter. There's so many different ways to go about that, by the way. Just saying.
From super chat from Smooth LK. Appreciate you. Too much money and politics involved in college football. It's kids who suffer. College football playoff cannot be taken seriously. We need to leave the ACC, but I'm proud of our boys for not giving up this season.
100%. I mean, all of that's true, especially the part about you're 0-2. You've got to win out and run the table and do so impressively. Notre Dame, I had Trevor look this up, and he put in an article. Notre Dame has not won 9 or more games in a season where all the wins were by 10 or more points since 1966. Like, that's an absolute something you praise this team for. Yes, coaches, you got to do a better job getting your team ready to win those first 2. 100% agree with that. But you can't take away what they did afterwards.
The thing that's so tough about this entire thing is, and I'm not saying I agree with it, it's just kind of human nature. But you kind of are always remembered by how the season ended. And this one's going to sting for quite some time. But you try not to let it take away from the great things that they did this season. I mean, as a team, they're averaging 42 points per game. Something they haven't done since like the early 1900s, average over 40 points a game. As frustrated as I am with the defensive performance in the first couple of weeks, their turnaround was crazy. And that's not giving credit to one specific coach or one particular person or one specific player, but going from allowing well over averaging 30 points a game to holding teams to 13 or less in the span. I mean, how quick of a turnaround that was, how special it was to watch Jeremiah Love this season. It stinks that how today went down. That's what a lot of people are going to remember, but the season was still crazy in a good way. From James Salumi, appreciate the super chat. I feel like an NFL-style league may become the only way to keep a regular season competitiveness and then just take the top teams in the standings so good games are played and teams will still get into the postseason. Thoughts?
I don't really know how you do that. You're not going to have 30-some teams in a league. Like, the only way the NFL style works is if there's 30-some teams. You're not going to be able to legally leave 35 to 40 teams out of the Power 5. You just can't. They'll sue you. Like, you can't do it. So the NFL model wouldn't work. I mean, Here's a thought: maybe have a playoff that, maybe have a playoff committee that's not tied to the network, who's got $1 billion relationship with the SEC and the ACC.
Or have the commissioner not be an active member of an SEC team. Like,
right.
The commissioner,
exactly.
Like, come on, man.
You do need more transparency in the process. I think you got to be careful with how much transparency you give. I don't think transparency means we need to listen to every meeting, because you want people to be able to speak freely. But there needs to be a better case laid out. Here's your top 10. Okay, give me the case besides the bull crap that Hunter Yurachek says. Give me something more than that.
Give me the Irish. Thank you for the super chat. I'm shocked. I did not think the committee had it in them to be this transparent. I underestimated the ESPN stranglehold over college football. End of the day, need to win more games and take it out of the committee's hands.
100%.
It's well said. From Adrian Hooks, appreciate you. SEC bias is real, and it always has been, and unfortunately will be for the foreseeable future.
That's why Trevor and I were a little bit nervous, because we were like, there's no way they're going to leave Bama out, right? And are they really going to leave the ACC out altogether? That's what our nervousness was. Now, we thought when FanDuel completely, like within the last hour, changed their odds, we assumed that there was some kind of leak, and that's what they were going to do. And the minute I saw Bama at 9, I knew, oh God, they're done. Like, we knew it. They were done. Because there's no reason not to move Bama unless you're going to drop Notre Dame out. That was my whole point. You're not going to leave Bama at 9 and then still leave Notre Dame at 10 and Miami at 11. As soon as Bama was 9, it was done. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So, yeah.
From Matt Colt, appreciate the super chat. Notre Dame should turn down a bowl game if it's on ESPN.
They're all on ESPN.
There's only like 2 or 3. Like, you can play in the Sun Bowl, and if you don't get the Sun Bowl, then you're screwed. But you don't do that, because ultimately you don't do things that are going to punish your players because you're pissed at ESPN. Rightfully pissed at ESPN. I get it, but you just don't do that.
From Just Your Ordinary Joe, might be the best super chat of the day. Gosh darn it.
Yeah.
No, accurate.
I'm with you, buddy. I'm with you.
From DPG80, thank you for the super chat. BD, I couldn't agree more with regard to winning our games in September. The inconsistency in that play of committee room was criminal. I'm completely disgusted. Great sharing with you guys, good or bad.
100%, buddy. 100%. I mean, at the end of the day, do I think Notre Dame got screwed today? Yes, I do. Do I think Notre Dame put themselves in a position where they could even be screwed? Yes, I do.
Yeah.
And that's the part they have. You take ownership for the parts that you have to play in this, but then go after the people that did the part that you didn't.
Yeah. From Nunk TV, thank you for the super chat. I hate to say it, but the ACC had the right strategy. They don't have the clout to challenge the SEC, but they can gang up on us.
Worked out. I mean, worked out. I mean, it worked
It
out.
like didn't work out until today. Like, that's the thing. It didn't work out for a month.
To me, I kind of feel like maybe did they leave Notre Dame in to create more ratings, and this was always their plan? I mean, that seems as plausible as anything else. You know, I mean, because basically what you said is Notre Dame was screwed. The minute BYU lost, Notre Dame was screwed. It didn't matter what happened in the SEC title game. Because if Bama won, they'd have stayed ahead of Notre Dame. And if Bama lost, they're going to stay ahead of Notre Dame. So basically, what was the point of even playing the SEC championship? Georgia didn't move up, and Bama didn't move down. Every other conference game where there was a winner, either a team moved up or down or both. And the Big Ten was both. Makes sense. You flip them. Big 12, Texas Tech didn't move up, but BYU moved down. So what's the whole? Why was BYU punished, but Bama wasn't? All year, you thought BYU was better than Miami. So what changed? What changed between then and now? Miami, BYU lost to 2 playoff teams. You know what BYU doesn't have on their resume? A 2-touchdown loss to a 5-7 team.
A loss to an unranked team, period. They don't have that.
From Connor Patton, thank you, Connor. Canceling Disney is good parenting.
I agree.
Another one from Lou Holtz, Thunder and Bolts. Appreciate you, Lou. Honestly saddened how political and corrupt this has become. Not too dissimilar from other institutions. Please don't ruin college football.
And they are and
Might
have
be too
been
late
for a
for that.
while. And for a while.
From Brent Lewis, thank you, Brent. Notre Dame should disaffiliate from the ACC ASAP and set out of bowl game if it's not ESPN Network.
Again, don't agree with that. You don't punish players because ESPN screwed you. And that's who you're punishing. You're punishing all the Notre Dame players by sitting out a bowl game.
Yeah. And and actually you're punishing the team for 26 as well.
Yep.
Because
100%.
that's what these bowl game practices are all about, to be honest with
100%.
you. You get 3 weeks of practice, man. And it's going to be the 26 kids that are getting the practice. So I push back on that. If you want Notre Dame to be really good next year, and I'm sure everybody that we're talking to does, you want them in a bowl game. It's
Yeah, and Brent, as much as we've gotten a lot of these super chats today, as much as I understand the emotion that this comes behind, and I get it completely, I want Notre Dame to start taking a stand too. But there is a fine line, and I'm not saying that you're saying this, but there is a fine line between taking a stand, setting a precedent, versus throwing a tantrum. And that's what that would be. If they're 10-2 and purposely sit out of a bowl game, like that, it doesn't do what I think the intention would be. Like, it doesn't get the message across the same way.
right.
I would play in an ESPN bowl game and in every single press conference do nothing but hammer ESPN about how bad they screwed your football team and how bad they're screwing college football.
And then I would go and absolutely decimate whoever you play against. It's like, this is the team you left out of the playoffs.
Yep.
But at least it was good for whatever bowl. Oh, by the way, they did release, I think Texas and Michigan are playing in the Citrus Bowl.
Okay.
So those are the bowl matchups are starting to get released. Super chat from Charlie Weiss, last belt loop. Appreciate you, Charlie. Love y'all. Yes, Notre Dame losing the first 2 games is on them, but it didn't help the AD and Marcus Freeman did not put up more of a fight. Where is the Notre Dame media besides IB fighting back? Notre Dame needs to stop playing nice.
I don't follow Irish Sports Daily because I don't follow any other Notre Dame sites because we're focused on us. But I've been told by people that Irish Sports Daily has also been very loud in their pushback of this. I don't know that to be true, but that's what I've been told. I'll keep my comments about other Notre Dame media to myself, other than I have good buddies that are on some of those other places, and I'll leave it at that. But at the end of the day, it's not our job to fight this fight.
100%.
It's not my job. It's not Tim Priester's job. It's not Tim O'Malley's job. It's not John Bryce's job. It's not anybody's job. It's Notre Dame's.
Super chat from Sloppy Joe. Appreciate you. An argument that isn't being made much is that the ACC cost Notre Dame around $20 million with their negative campaigning. If I'm Brabacqua, I'm seriously thinking leaving the ACC in all sports.
I mean, we literally said that in the show. So I agree with you. I mean, so that point was definitely made in this show that what the ACC did to you cost you over $20 million. So yes, you absolutely have real means to go at them legally, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I'm not a lawyer, so keep in mind that's a football coach giving you that legal opinion. But I just have a hard time believing that there's not cause with what the AC did. Because again, my understanding is it's in the contract that you can't publicly go after another institution in the league that way.
Yeah. Super chat from let manager 198. I'm assuming. Appreciate the super chat. Looking forward, sadly. Does this help or hurt Notre Dame in the upcoming transfer portal?
Yeah. This won't have any impact to Notre Dame in the transfer portal. So,
yeah.
I mean, they're still a hot program. I doubt that this has any impact on what happens.
Nope. Lou Holtz, Thunder and Bolts, appreciate you. We're thinking about this all wrong. Today is a great day. Notre Dame just added one more natty. 93 champs, baby. Head to head. It just means more.
Agree. That's what I said. Look, if it means this for championships now, then say, F it. We're going to go claim all those championships that we won the head-to-head. 93 making the most sense.
Super chat from Tyler Evans. Thank you, Tyler. David Pollock and Heisman winner Mark Ingram of Alabama are saying Notre Dame got screwed. They deserve a spot over Alabama.
100% right. And Damian Harris said the same thing, another Alabama running back.
Yeah.
Because guys who played in an SEC title game shockingly think that the SEC title game should matter. And also, none of those guys work for ESPN anymore. I'd also like to point that out. All the former players saying that don't work at ESPN. All the Bama players that work at ESPN, all the former players that work at ESPN, not a one of them thinks that Bama should be out. What does that tell you? What does that tell you?
Super chat from Truth Lovato. Thank you. Like y'all said, smash our bowl opponent. Texas would make the biggest statement, right? Or who else?
Let's say Texas and so part of the reason these are late getting out is because the ACC had to wait to do all of their bowl placements because they had to find out if Duke was going to be in, is Miami going to be in the play? Because you can't do these placements and then Miami's in the playoff or Duke gets in the playoff and now you got to change it all around. So they had to wait till that was done. So that's what's taken so long. And then there's some negotiating and bidding and things. It's not as easy, just teams fall into place.
Super chat from Charlie Weiss, last belt loop. Jack would have had Notre Dame in the playoffs and argue.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know that that's accurate. That's a hypothetical that we won't really know the answer to.
From Not a Professional Jay, thank you for the super chat. NIL is part of the reason the SEC is panicking now and applying pressure. They're paying players under the table, just not as relevant when NIL gets players a share of their success in an above-board way.
Agree. They've been definitely panicking since NIL became a thing.
Mark E. Stewart, appreciate it.
So real quick, so you're getting ESPN to kind of do your dirty work for you, to hype you up, pump you up, make you seem more important than you are.
Yeah.
Because let's be honest, the SEC is not important because of what they've done on the field in recent seasons. They just got their butts kicked by the ACC at the end of the year. Got embarrassed by the ACC. Your champion barely beat the 4th or 5th best team in the ACC. Louisville, who's 6th or 7th best team in the ACC, just annihilated Kentucky worse than any team in your freaking league did. Notre Dame annihilated one of your teams worse. Notre Dame beat it didn't not until their 8th conference loss did the SEC finally have a bigger scoring margin against Arkansas than what Notre Dame had. Yeah. Florida State kicked the crap out of Bell. They're not. You haven't been in the championship game in 2 years. So basically, what they're doing is they're trying to load the deck and say, now we're going to stack the deck for you. You better freaking win it now. Make it almost impossible. Of the 10 teams in the top 10, 8 of them are from the Big Ten and the SEC. It's absolute horse crap.
Super chat from Mark E. Stewart. Appreciate you. This is tough to accept. The reality is setting in that this season is over. I want to thank you 3 and Sean covering this season as well as it could be covered. Y'all are my boys.
Appreciate you, Mark. I really do, man. Really do. Mark's obviously a long-term board member as well, by the way. Appreciate you your support for our premium board at boards.irishbreakdown.com. I appreciate that.
Super chat from Pat Miggs. Appreciate you, Pat. I used to watch championship weekend and be floored by how much more talent and firepower those teams had than Notre Dame. This weekend, I walked away believing Notre Dame could beat anyone and close the gap.
100%.
Yes.
100%. I was more confident that Notre Dame could go on a run. I mean, you've had Indiana fans jumping in our chat saying, like, kind of glad, you know what I mean? Like, you guys would have been a problem.
Yeah.
Honest people know that's what I was saying earlier. You just made the case easier because a team that you knew could go in there and whoop some SEC teams, you just left out on purpose. I think that's part of it. You won't convince. After all conspiracy theories are on the table now. After what they just pulled,
100%.
Michael, thank you for this one, man. Play Michigan in a bowl game. That obviously won't happen, but that would have been fun.
Another one from Brian's Balloons. Appreciate you just throwing this in to help Vince laugh because he loves my username. Pop-Tarts Bowl, so I can go.
That's my favorite. The fans are like, yeah, just get a bowl name close to me now. You know.
Super chat from Erica Seifert. Appreciate you. What are the options for a bowl game? Also, is USC on the schedule for next year? I thought I saw them listed, but as TBD.
They are on the schedule. Vince basically just said it's either Duke's Mayo Bowl versus SEC. These are all the potential options. I know some have already been filled. Duke's Mayo Bowl, the Fenway Bowl, the Holiday Bowl, the Military Bowl, the Pinstripe Bowl, which I think has been filled, the Pop-Tarts Bowl, the ReliaQuest Bowl, Tax Slayer Gator Bowl, and the Sun Bowl are all options. I would imagine Gator and Sun would be less likely since Notre Dame played in both recently. They probably won't want to send Notre Dame back.
Yeah, and there's
a whole bidding system,
like
and you can't take a team that you've had. There's all that kind of stuff. So it'll be one of those.
Yeah, my money's on Duke's Mayo Bowl versus Vanderbilt.
Yeah,
I could see that. James Salumi with the super chat. Appreciate you. 1993 head-to-head champs. From Pat Miggs, appreciate you. Could IU winning last night hurt our recruiting moving forward? Signetti can tell recruits, unlike Notre Dame, we've already conquered Ohio State. If you're going to play college football in Indiana, play at IU.
No, it's still Indiana. Does it help Indiana's recruiting? Yes, it helps their recruiting, but I don't think it hurts Notre Dame's. Notre Dame just signed the number 1 class. Kids are so good.
Yeah.
Kids don't make those type of shallow decisions because the way that we think they do. Never have. Notre Dame beat Ohio State for kids that they wanted this year and have lost 3 in a row to Ohio State.
Yeah. From Chadell Preet, thank you for the super chat. Marcus Freeman reminded
Chad Delpreet. Sorry.
Okay.
I know I don't know why YouTube hasn't fixed this. I have no clue. It's a YouTube problem. It's very annoying. Yeah.
Apologies there, Chad, but appreciate you nonetheless. Marcus Freeman reminded everyone not to forget what losing to NIU felt like. I hope we all never forget what today feels like.
Yeah. Agree.
Another one from Mega Xbox Geeks. Appreciate you. Before the end of the day, he needs to claim the 1993 national championship and announced that they were looking to get out of their ACC agreement.
I think this is similar to the one he put out earlier, but yes,
Yeah.
we agree.
Super chat from Clay Murphy. Appreciate you. I know we're all beyond ticked, but what teams do you most want Notre Dame to destroy? Personally, I want Notre Dame to squash Vandy.
I don't have any beef with Vandy. I think it's a great story. Honestly, I haven't even thought about that.
No,
I don't really care about the bowl game right now. We will care about, what I mean is I'm not one of those, I don't care about bowl games. I don't care about any opportunity to go play football and put on a gold helmet. It's just right in this moment. That's just not a focus of mine because I don't even know who they're playing yet. So I don't know, because the reality is if you smack a team in a bowl game, they're just going to say, well, we had this guy out, that guy out, this guy didn't play, that guy didn't play. I mean, look, Notre Dame's going to probably play in this bowl game without Jeremiah Love. I don't know if Malachi Fields is going to play. I don't know if Jadarian Price is going to. I mean, any senior, is not going to play. With the portal being in, early January, will some of the veterans who may jump on the portal play? I don't know the answer to that. So there's a lot that goes into it. So I haven't even thought about that. I don't. I honestly, the only game I'm thinking about right now is November 7th. I'm not gonna lie to you. That's the only game that's really been popped in my head at all. But even that, there's so much between now and then that they got to figure out. I just care more about. I want to see what Notre Dame's reaction is to this. I want to hear what Notre Dame has to say about all this.
Super chat from Sandra. Appreciate you. Thanks for IB, guys. For your insight. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Sandra, so much for that. Also from Samuel Meisenheimer, 5127. Appreciate you for your super sticker as well.
Super chat from Dave8631. Appreciate you. Kind of strange that Herb Street knew last night that Alabama wouldn't drop. Almost makes you think there was preordained collusion among ESPN and the committee.
100%. 100%.
From Mace AK, appreciate you. Notre Dame should also claim the 2012 title since some don't drop after a bad loss, and it would equal what that other team did in 1973.
Yeah, I mean, Bama claims a championship in 73, even though Notre Dame beat them. In Bama's defense of 73, the title that they were given in 73 is from basically the Modern Coaches Poll, and they gave their championships before bowl games. That's just how the process was for some of them. So they didn't claim, to claim a championship, you actually have to have somebody vote you the champion, like some poll or some computer, some random, newspaper from back in the day had to rank you as a champion. You can't just you can't pull the UCF and just claim it out of thin air. Somebody had to anoint you that. And I don't know in 2012 that anybody did that. I'd have to go look. But in 1993, I know they did.
From Seduza, appreciate the super chat. I'm very disappointed, but new 2 losses would likely kill our chances. Leave the ACC ASAP. Go scorched earth next season. Thanks for everything y'all do. They hate us because they ain't us. Hashtag pissed off MF.
Agree. I mean, we've said it a lot. Don't need to repeat it again. I would absolutely. This has got to be the thing that wakes Notre Dame up. That you're holier than thou. We're better than we're above this. Fine, okay, cool. Is it worth it to be above that? That you're out $20-some million. If it's worth it to you, then fine. If you're okay getting punched in the face and taking it, that's a you problem. And then good luck when years like this happen and you miss out on 8-figure bowl deal, playoff opportunities. Have fun with that.
Super chat from Christopher J. Rich Pisces. Appreciate you. I think 14 BYU should play 11 Tulane and 13 Notre Dame should play 12 James Madison in a play-in game. Then do that every year. Play them next week.
I mean, that's better than what we have now, honestly. But they're doing that in the NCAA tournament, basketball tournament. But again, it should just be where those teams shouldn't be in anyway.
Yeah.
Those teams, they didn't qualify. They weren't ranked high enough to what the cutoff should have been. It should have been like 16 or 17. And then you 2 at-larges. But, I mean, I'd prefer this to the garbage that we have now. I mean, to have Notre Dame get a chance to play I
mean, and then you start talking about like the length of the season, right? I mean, you'd be asking teams like BYU and Tulane and James Madison to have to play like 18 games to make it far in the playoffs. Like that's
Notre Dame would make a lot of sense for.
Yeah,
because they didn't play a conference championship game. But to your point, Trev, I mean, JMU and Tulane, they would never play that many games. BYU might. A team like BYU might, though, or whoever that might be, whatever Power 4 team that might be. Maybe it was Bama. Maybe Bama gets hot and goes on the run. That's asking them to play, to your point, literally 18 games because they've already played 13 plus this game. And then there's no break between the next game, really. They play this next weekend, and then a week later they're playing in a playoff game. That's not right. But it's better than what we have now. They should just have it to where you reach a certain point. You have to reach a certain point to get in. But where's the motivation going to be to do that real quick when the leagues that you love didn't get screwed?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep. Well, and if anybody should be in a playoff game if anybody should be in a play-in game to prove their worth for how much the committee loves Alabama, it should have been Alabama. Right. Like you get blown out by 21 points in your conference championship, but then you're going to sit here and give this horrid reasoning about their body of work, which sure, I guess, give them a chance to prove it on the field because their chance to prove it on the field was this past weekend and they lost by 21 points.
Right. But my thing is like the motivation to get rid of the G5 thing is gone now that all the conferences got their team in.
Oh,
Who's mad? The Big 12, Big 12. Here's the thing: BYU did they release the rest of the rankings? Did you happen to see what the rest of them were? I would assume BYU fell behind like Texas and teams like that, right? I would imagine. Let me actually pull that up because I'm sure it's there now. But,
I'm looking at them right now. The rest of the college football playoff rankings: Notre Dame is 11th, BYU is 12th, Texas is 13th.
Okay. So BYU did stay ahead. So I mean, but the Big 12, they're not going to have any pull. Like the only movement, the entire rankings with all that happened yesterday was Ohio State, Indiana flipped, and then Miami jumped Notre Dame and BYU.
Mm-hmm.
A team that didn't play jumped another team that didn't play by 2 spots. Despite the fact only the team that got jumped resume got better over the course of the weekend.
Yeah. James Casanzo, appreciate the super chat. Sucks, and we were robbed, but go Irish. And to quote the Heisman Trophy runner-up, Mendoza flipped the committee, ESPN, Kirk Herbstreit, Reese Davis, and Nick Saban.
Yep, Saban. Yep, screw all of them. Nate Boulier, thank you for your super sticker. I appreciate that very, very much, man.
From James Delaney, appreciate you, James. We need to leave the ACC immediately as it makes the announcement tomorrow, or there has to be consequences in the AD.
I agree. I just don't know that Notre Dame has the kind of leadership, to do that.
At the bare minimum, the
That's-
groundwork has to start being laid now. That's, I mean,
Yeah.
like we laid out. I'm
It
not going
doesn't
to
have
wake
to be
up.
publicly, right? Like it doesn't have to be publicly because you got to do it legally the right way. Pete Bavacqua did respond, by the way, pretty harshly. I'm going to read you all the different quotes. Ross Dellinger did an interview. Here's what Pete said. My feelings and the feelings here are just shock and really an absolute sense of sadness for our student athletes. Overwhelming shock and sadness, like a collective feeling that we were all punched in the stomach. There's no explanation that could possibly be given to explain the outcome. As I said to Marcus, one thing is for sure, any rankings or show prior to this, last one is an absolute joke and a waste of time. Why put these young student athletes through these false emotions just to pull the rug out from underneath them, having not played a game in 2 weeks, and then a group of people in a room shatter their dreams without explanation? We feel like the playoff was just stolen from our student athletes. He goes, we had that side-by-side comparison, and you look at the two teams on paper, and they are almost equal. This is what Yurchik said. The one metric we had to fall back on was head-to-head. That's not what you said a week ago. That's literally the exact opposite of what you said a week ago. He's a liar. And then this is what Pete also said. If the ranking shows are legitimate, there is no logical explanation of what happened to us. Have one ranking show at the end, like Sunday. What's the point of doing anything prior to that? And Freeman addressed the team. This is what Pete said. Marcus said it perfectly. Usually there are reasons and answers and explanations, but we don't have one for you with this. This is shocking, upsetting, and utter disbelief and sadness from our student athletes. We were led to believe, since the CFP ranking started, of what they needed to do and did everything that they were asked to do. The feedback we got in the last presentation Thursday was that it was the best presentation that they've received in 2 years of the expanded playoff. That's what he had to say. Let me see if there's anything else. Somebody asked about being independent. He said, we love being independent. Football is part of our DNA. We have zero intention of changing that. It's part of who Notre Dame is. Quite frankly, this further cement this. I love the favorite part. I'm reading it right now as I'm reading to you guys. Quite frankly, this further cements our independence. We are out there fighting for ourselves. That's something we accept. They are young kids. They devote so much time and effort to this. In a moment, it's all taken away from them. We'll process this and move forward. So I love the comments, but that can't be it.
Yep,
And
100%.
not professional. Jay says Pete Bavacqua coming out firing with both barrels is good, but it's a little too late. Agree completely.
Yep.
Agree completely. So, yeah, I love that. No, don't let them bully you into joining a conference.
Another one from Nate Boulier. Appreciate you, Nate. Pete Bavacqua needs to get Netflix to bid on Notre Dame versus the CFP champ in February and splitting the profit 50-50.
Yeah, problem is Notre Dame wouldn't have a bunch of players. Anybody that's going to the NFL wouldn't be part of that game, so it wouldn't matter for either team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
James Salumi, appreciate the super chat. Riley Leonard is in the game right now. He is. Daniel Jones got hurt, so Riley Leonard is in against the Jags.
So their other quarterback, Richardson's hurt too?
Yeah, he got injured like in week 2 because when he was warming up with one of the elastic bands, it came back and smacked him in the head, and he fractured his orbital bone. And so he's Riley Leonard's been QB2 for the last like 2 months. It's been crazy.
That's awesome. Good for him. We're actually going to go look and see how he's doing while we're doing this. All right, let's get to the next one.
From Joshua Williams, appreciate you. Just wanted to let you guys know the great job you do, which is why I watched you guys over ESPN. Thanks again. Appreciate you, Josh.
Thanks, Joshua. I appreciate that very much, man, truly.
From Propa 7146, appreciate you. I'm bummed, but Notre Dame did it to themselves. No conference schedule means you have to beat the few good teams you have on your schedule.
Yeah, I mean, they did beat some of the teams they had on their schedule, but you can't lose to the 2 best.
Yep.
And, you beat numbers 3, 4, and 5, but you lost to 1 and 2. I mean, look, I don't like it, but it's like kind of what we've said. You did do this to yourselves. You beat.
Yes.
What this also shows is you're better off losing to a bad team like Northern Illinois and then beating the good. We said this last year. Remember when people were like, I wish we would have beat them, but then lost. I'm like, no, if you'd have beat them and lost to Louisville, your playoff resume would look worse.
Mm-hmm.
Beat the good teams, get upset. I mean, look, Miami beat the best team, the only good team on their schedule. They lost to 2 unranked teams they're in.
Yep.
Which is a complete opposite of what they've said the last month, but, whatever. We already know they're liars and hypocrites, so, yeah. I want to bring up the next one from him, from Prop. I'm over being independent. Notre Dame should join a conference, preferably the Big Ten, so they can play games and control their own destiny. That's what it's all about. No more hypothetical win BS. But see, this is where you're misguided and short-sighted with all due respect. You don't have control over your own destiny. Oregon had the same exact conference record. Not Oregon, but who was it? Ole Miss had the same exact conference record as Alabama and Georgia, but they didn't get in. Miami sat at home doing exactly what we're talking about, hypotheticals. That's what they did to get in. So the team that we're screwed about, that we're upset about, didn't play this weekend either. They watched a 5-loss team win their league. This notion that somehow they're not going to get screwed if they join a conference, yes, they will. But the other thing you're missing is Notre Dame. Look what Penn State. It's a perfect example. People keep wanting to pretend this will never happen to Notre Dame. I'm sure Penn State thought the same thing. Look what happened in Nebraska when they went from the Big 8 and the Big 12 to the Big 10. They lost their identities. They lost part of what made them the great programs they were.
Yeah.
Like, no, you don't, because things didn't go your way and times get tough. You just say, screw it. We'll just give in and give you guys exactly what you want. No, that's not the answer. Handle your business in September. That's the answer. That's the answer. Because even if you're in the Big Ten, you're still going to get screwed. Look, they have screwed Nebraska over so many times. Look how often Nebraska gets a tough schedule compared to what Oregon got this year. Come on. That's not the answer. What it's all about is controlling your own destiny, which is beat Miami, beat Texas A&M. Notre Dame controlled their own destiny just as much as every other team in college football controlled their own destiny this year. And like Trevor said, the post-game show after the A&M game, Notre Dame no longer controls their own destiny. Why? Because they didn't handle business. It'd be no different if they joined the Big Ten, lost to Ohio State in the regular season, lost to Indiana in the regular season, and they're sitting there at 10-2 with no good wins because they didn't get Oregon in their regular season schedule, and they're sitting back there where Michigan was ranked going into the playoff, 15, hoping that they can move up 5 spots at the end. That's not the answer.
Nope.
It's not the answer.
Nope. From JS 31-186, appreciate you. Bowl related. Who's sitting out of the game? And J Love can't go out like this, man. One more time, 4.
I am torn on what I would advise Jeremiah Love to do. I've always believed in finish what you start. I'm always a believer in that. I still don't like the sitting out bowl games thing. You started with your team, you finished with your team, unless you have a legitimate injury. The thing that gets missed is everybody's like, Christian McCaffrey started this whole thing. Christian McCaffrey did that because he was battling injuries all year.
Mm-hmm.
That's why he did that. Now, Jeremiah Love may be battling injuries as well, and we don't know that, and his agent may advise him. But in the world that we're in right now, it's really, do you want the Notre Dame rushing record or not? That's what it boils down to. Didn't Cam Ward do that last year?
Mm-hmm.
Didn't he go in and he broke some record and then yanked them at halftime once he broke the record?
Yep.
Okay. I mean, I would love to see him do something like that. I really would. But I also understand, do you want to go risk getting hurt and hurting your NFL draft stock? I get it. I don't like it, but I understand it.
Totally.
And that's the world we're in. I don't like we're in that world. I don't like that we're accepting of not finishing what you started. Season's not over till all the games are played. That's how I look at it. But that's not the world we live in anymore, sadly. And so I don't begrudge the young men that make that decision. I begrudge the people that put us from a leadership position, that put us in a position where this is acceptable and tolerable. But, that's what Jeremiah's got to go decide. Does he want to play the game and Notre Dame's going to get him the ball? And what's he need? Like 70 some yards. Didn't we decide that the other day. Was he need like 73 yards? He's at 1372. The record is, what's the record? Hold on a second. Notre Dame all-time leading rushers. Vegas Ferguson at 1,437. So Jeremiah Love would need, he's at 1372. So he would need 65 yards to break it, 66 to break it. How bad does he want the record? I'll be a little surprised if he plays, but it sure would be nice. Sure would be nice.
Yep.
Other than that, I don't want to speculate on who will or won't play. That's their decisions to announce.
From the Wine Dude, appreciate the super chat. Thanks, fellas, for keeping us grounded during these times. Let's remove the gloves and put even more resources in tomorrow. We went through injustice with Yost and friends before and can overcome it again.
Agree. That's what I like that answer way more than just give in and join the league, the Big Ten, just give in. No, man.
Super chat from Tiller Reese. Appreciate you. How do you all believe Marcus Freeman will respond?
I hope Tyler's pissed. I really do. I hope he's mad. I hope he's, I hope he does what we've said. It's just give everybody sort of the middle finger and say, fine, you want us to be the bad guy college football? We're going to own that. And we're going to recruit number one classes every year. We're going to dominate you on the field. No more Mr. Nice Guy. Cool. Everything that I do now is going to be to make the Notre Dame brand better. I don't care about ESPN loving me anymore because they will love you and hype you and then stab you in the back in the committee room. We love Marcus Freeman as he knifes the Notre Dame program in the back. You know what I mean? Don't fall for it. Remember right now. I want this to be seared into Marcus Freeman's brain forever. The looks on your players' faces the moment they found out they weren't in. And you remember that when you decide that every summer you want to go on a media tour to see all those people while ignoring us. We used to have media days with Notre Dame. We don't get that anymore. Right? I want you to think about that when you're bending over backwards to let ESPN and anybody else come to your program and get access to your program, but you don't give us the access that we've always had. I want you to remember that. Why aren't Notre Dame media fighting more? Why should they? People that have been doing this for 30 years, you're like 10 years, 20 years. Hey, we don't have the same access we used to. We don't get one-on-one meetings with Marcus Freeman anymore. We get very little practice access. We're not even allowed to put intel out that we find out unless we run it by the program first, or we get threatened. We may not have the same access we've had. So what's the reason? The reason we do it is not so Notre Dame will love us. The reason we do it is because it's the right thing to do. It's because what we believe. But I understand why people feel that way. I just want Notre Dame to take some notes of that. Who had your back this whole time? Who fought the case for you? And who stabbed you in the back? Just remember that. They won't. They're still going to bend over backwards to make ESPN happy. That's what they're still going to do. They will learn no lessons in that regard. But from a running your football team standpoint, I do hope Marcus Freeman learns this lesson. Remember what it felt like to have your kids, the look in your faces, players' eyes, the look that when you look Jeremiah Love in the eye and realize my Notre Dame career is probably over. When you look those players in the eye and realize that their chance to go win a championship was stolen from them, remember that next year when it's the fourth quarter and you're up on a team from the ACC or the SEC and you decide, should we be throwing the ball right now or not? Should we be blitzing right now or not? Use that as fuel this entire offseason. And you know what? Don't forget it just because next year might go well. Remember it from the moment that you are till the moment you're no longer the head football coach at Notre Dame. Use that fuel to say, you know what? You want us to be the bad guy. You want us to be the outsider. You want us to have a Notre Dame against the world mentality. Cool. You are not going to like what that looks like. I hope that's the lesson that Coach Freeman learns from this. I do. That doesn't mean he needs to be a jerk. It doesn't mean he needs to be outside of his character as a person. None of that means anything. But you know what? Maybe you don't bend over backwards anymore. Maybe you go tell Pete, hey, we're going to ramp up our own network, our own social media, our own platform where we don't need ESPN anymore. Screw that. And we're going to take the fight to them and we're going to pound them every time we play. That's what we're going to do. Remember that forever. It's like, remember that scene from Remember forever the day they played the Titans. Remember forever the day they screwed Notre Dame. And because you're not going to like this version of Notre Dame anymore. That's what I would do. Screw bending over backwards for reporters of ESPN. I've had times in the past where I've called someone from Notre Dame and said, hey, I got this scoop. Hey, just sit on it for now. And then 20 minutes later, somebody from ESPN's reporting it. Screw that. Don't bend over backwards for them to like you anymore, because they will love you to your face and they will screw you over the minute you turn your back. Simple as that. I hope he never forgets that. I hope that everybody at Notre Dame, Pete Bavacqua, all of them, remember that. And this is why Jack fought the way that he fought, because he knew they're not going to look out for us. I got to look out for us. That's what I hope happens.
Super chat from Chad Delpreet. Got it right this time. Hey, fellas, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't the ACC screw us a few years ago with a bowl bid and that sent us to the Sun Bowl in a New Year's Day game?
No, I don't think they screwed Notre Dame. There were reasons for that. Yeah, there were reasons for that. It's not so much about screwing. It's just that's the way those things work. The ACC's never been friendly to Notre Dame. And everybody says, oh, well, remember that time they let you into the league? They did that for themselves. Yep. They did that because they knew getting Notre Dame in would help them out. They were getting ready to cancel their season. And let's not forget something else, right? Let's not forget this either. They were getting ready to cancel their season. They were going to be cowards like the Big Ten and Pac-12 were until Notre Dame started to say, hey, no, don't do that. We'll join your league. So y'all can miss me with the whole people say, well, you know, they let you in the league. No, they didn't. Notre Dame basically set that all up. They were getting ready to cancel. They were ready to cancel the season. So that's kind of how I feel about that.
Super chat from McKay Rippey. Appreciate you. So do we root for Miami to win out?
I don't care. I don't. I'm not going to root for Miami. I'm not going to root for any of those teams. I don't care. I'd rather root for Texas A&M to win out.
Same.
I think Miami deserved to be in the playoffs. So did Notre Dame. That doesn't mean I like the program anymore. Going to forget some of the just absurdity that their fans have said over the last month. No, I won't be rooting for Miami.
No. Super sticker.
I'd rather USC get in and win a championship before I'd rather root for Miami. So Robin Dennis, man, thank you very, very much for that super sticker. That's a big one, man. I really appreciate that.
From Bayside Tiger 6, appreciate you. IB doesn't owe anyone an apology. Great work this season so far, gentlemen. Here's to more.
Yeah, appreciate that, man. Really do. Really do. No, and I don't. I do. If I do something where I go against what I believe how I'm supposed to conduct myself, I will issue an apology. Last Friday, I went off on my show. I called a guy names, called him an idiot, moron, all that kind of stuff. And I felt super convicted about that afterwards. And I've been doing that on Twitter the last couple of weeks, calling Miami fans morons and idiots and stupid. And I felt that they were being that way, but that's not who I want to be. So I apologize for that. Did it on our board and did it on Twitter. That's not the same as I offered an opinion that turned out not to be right. Screw that. That's kind of our job. And if me getting that wrong makes you not want to watch the show, that's your right to believe that. I'm going to apologize because I said so. First of all, I don't remember saying that. I don't remember saying Notre Dame's a lock to get in after they beat USC.
No, the only thing that we said was we would start talking about the playoffs once Notre Dame beat USC.
Correct. But even if I did say that, I don't know you an apology for that because I gave you an opinion. Turned out to be wrong if I said that, which again, I don't believe that I did. So no, you can miss me with that.
Super chat from Tommy Geelan. Appreciate you, Tommy. Notre Dame got passed because Bama ran it so well against Auburn, but then had less rushing yards than Notre Dame, who didn't even play. They should be out, but then conference championships would be no more.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
From Tommy
Conference
Rock,
championship games, by the way, need to go. If they don't matter, why are they playing them? Seriously,
100%. Like you've
got my Ohio State and my Indiana 1-2 anyway. It didn't matter what was going to happen. Why play them? You didn't move Georgia up, didn't move Texas Tech up, didn't move Bama down for losing. You basically just chose to punish BYU for no reason whatsoever.
Yeah. Super chat from Tommy Rock 76. Appreciate you, Tommy. Playing the Sun Bowl on CBS just to give ESPN the finger.
If they had the option to do that, I would gladly say do that. Absolutely. Because I know exactly where our party would be. I had a great party, IB party at down in El Paso last time they played down there. So we would know where our get-together would be. Absolutely.
From MSA Notre Dame, thanks, guys, for covering an incredible season. Our players deserve better than being denied a shot at the national championship rings. In 2026, we come back stronger and secure an undefeated season and the title.
Man, I hope so.
Yeah.
You know, I haven't really started thinking too much about that. We'll find out all that stuff here moving forward. But yeah, I hope that they are very pissed off. I hope so.
Yeah. Super chat from Rob Tidoff. Appreciate you, Rob. Let's go back to the Big East and all other sports.
100%. 100%. I've said that before. Everybody thinks that you got to go to one of the Big Four. You got to go to the Big 12 or Big 10 or why? I don't think you do. There'll be ACC teams that want to schedule you. There'll be Big 10 teams that want to schedule you. You know, screw it.
Mm-hmm. From Paul of Dune, appreciate you, Paul. Thank you all for how hard you worked during the season.
Paul, I appreciate that very much, man. I really do. And hey, good news is we won't stop just because the season's over. We go year round, baby. We'll be doing this year round.
From John B, appreciate you, John. Let the ACC break up.
Yeah. I'm all for that.
It's going to happen anyways.
I love this. I was going to say a bad name. I was going to call someone a name, but some guy said Notre Dame's scared of the SEC. Yeah. Notre Dame's scared of the team who's champion. They beat by 13 last year. Notre Dame has scheduled Texas, Alabama, Auburn, and Florida the next decade, but sure. Like, seriously, this is why you guys make it hard for me not to call you names. When you say things that absurd and just like, you're either just trolling or you're just really not an intelligent person. Either way, you're low class and you won't be posting here anymore. So, yeah.
Afraid of the SEC is an interesting take.
Very much so.
Because if I recall, really over the last 2.5 hours after the rankings came out, I've seen a lot of SEC fans extremely happy that Notre Dame's not in the playoff because they know what's up.
Yep. Yeah.
From Illmatic 98, appreciate you. What do you think of a schedule agreement with each conference, 2 to 3 games against each Power 4 team? Keeps the national schedule and hit different recruiting hotbeds.
I'd be fine of that. But the reason that you need an agreement with a league is because you need something where they're going to host your other sports. That's basically what it comes down to. You needed a home for your basketball teams and all that when the Big East kind of imploded.
Yeah.
Or you saw the implosion coming and you tried to get ahead of it. Is basically what they did. So, I mean, I'd say I don't know that you need an agreement with that, though. I just would say just schedule teams. Just say, hey, Michigan State, you guys want to get back on being on the schedule every year? Hey, Purdue, they will. Because the thing that people have – here's what some of you have to understand when you think about how are they going to put a schedule together. 75 to 80% of the teams in these leagues are not thinking, how are we going to go win a championship? They're just trying to survive and make money, be good, get to a bowl game. Purdue is not going into a season. Their football team might, but their administration does not say, how do we become Ohio State? You never have been, never will be Ohio State. Northwestern's not thinking that. Michigan State's not thinking that. Minnesota's not thinking that. Kansas State's not thinking that. Kansas isn't thinking that. Iowa State's not thinking that. The vast majority of programs, Texas Tech is unique because they have some if you take away their big donors, they're like Baylor. There's going to be plenty of teams that are willing to play you. So, no, you won't get Ohio State, Michigan, Oregon, Indiana, Texas, Alabama, Georgia, all to play you in the same season, but you don't need that. You only need like 2 of those teams. You know what I mean? So like this notion that Notre Dame's not going to be able to get teams because teams don't want to hurt their playoff resume, most teams, that's not their number one priority because they know they're not that. They're looking for ways to put a schedule together that's going to allow their program to go out there and grow as a program, but then make money. And you know what those people that care about do? Our community gets a huge boost the way that the weekend that Notre Dame comes into town. Because hotel prices get skyrocketed, you know, our airline makes more money. I remember talking to somebody at the airport, you know, that I flew into in Arkansas. Like, yes, the busiest we've been in a long time. You know, it's a little tiny, beautiful airport, by the way. Fort Smith, I think is what it was. Beautiful airport. So there's going to be – Clemson just scheduled a 12-year agreement with Notre Dame outside of the ACC schedule that was already existed. Why did they do that? That's basically what it comes down to. That's what it is.
Super chat from Zach Glucko. Appreciate you, Zach. Thank you guys for another great season. Heartbreaking result today. This team really could have gone all the way. Sad we won't get to see 4-24 running the ball for the Irish. Hoping next year's team will play mad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You and me both, Zach.
I sure hope so. Sure hope so, man. I hope this team really has a chip on their shoulder this offseason because of this.
Super chat from TJ Leader. Appreciate you, TJ. Not sure why they wouldn't put Miami over Notre Dame 5 days ago. They were just going to anyways. I guess there was no scenario this weekend that could have taken place for Notre Dame to make the playoffs. I mean, listen, TJ, ultimately that's what the rankings showed me today. Is the playoff rankings were set before college championship weekend. Like they knew what teams they wanted to put in. They just did this for Lord knows what reason. But they knew what teams they wanted to be in the playoffs before this weekend hit. Don't let anybody try to tell you differently.
I mean, what they said today meant that Notre Dame had no chance.
Nope.
There was literally, think about it, there was nothing that could have happened this weekend. What they admitted today is despite Notre Dame being 10th or 9th the entire process, there was nothing that was going to happen this weekend that they were going to be in. Because think about it, Trevor. No matter what happened to Alabama, they were going to be ahead of Notre Dame. No matter what happened with Miami, they were going to be ahead of Notre Dame. Because either A, BYU won and Notre Dame is out, and it doesn't matter anyway, because Notre Dame and Miami are then both out. BYU loses and Alabama loses. Bama stays ahead of Notre Dame. Now Miami jumps up, and now it's head-to-head against Notre Dame, and they jump up. Literally what they admitted today, and this is what I think Pete Bavach was responding to, there was no outcome from yesterday's games that was going to end with Notre Dame being in the playoffs. Not a one. Not a one. That's what they admitted today. Nothing was going to happen that was going to allow Notre Dame to be in the playoffs, including getting jumped by a team who didn't play. My response is, why didn't you do that anyway? Just put BYU and Miami ahead of Notre Dame last week. 2 weeks ago. It would have been real simple. They admitted, without admitting this, that no matter what happened yesterday, Bama was going to be ahead of Notre Dame and Miami was going to be ahead of Notre Dame. Or BYU was going to be ahead of Notre Dame. But Notre Dame was not going to be in the playoffs no matter what happened. Name me a scenario that could have happened yesterday that would have had Notre Dame in the playoffs, Trevor. Name me one.
Can't, unfortunately. Well, and like we always know, hindsight is always 20/20. The committee started laying the groundwork for this weeks ago. I mean, they started to throw out the metrics, the alleged metrics that they use, and take a real deep dive into this every single week, which is why the rankings have to come out on Tuesday, because they watch all the games and use all these metrics. They started to throw that out weeks ago. Notre Dame should have been above Oklahoma if they went based on the metrics outside of strength of schedule. Notre Dame should have been, I mean, one of their core principles is, they vote based upon teams having significant losses of personnel, whether that be players or coaches. And then what they do, Ole Miss loses their head coach and they move them up a spot. And so the groundwork started to be laid for this weeks ago. I was just really, really hoping like this, for all of those reasons. That's why Brian and I talked almost on a daily basis about this. I mean, yes, we also talked about Notre Dame playing Stanford and Notre Dame playing Syracuse, and that's what a lot of our shows are geared towards because that's what we do here. But back line, that's why all of our conversations were about this, because we started to see the writing on the wall of this, like, this makes me uncomfortable. Ole Miss loses a head coach and gets a bump in the rankings. Oklahoma fails to score over 20 points in like 3 straight games, and they move up in the rankings. Okay, time to see what happens. And then just the narrative from the media that just continued to be forced of like, will Notre Dame and Miami be evaluated head-to-head if they're next to each other in the rankings? All of that combined was a recipe for Notre Dame to not make the playoffs.
And I don't buy the notion that Virginia wins and Notre Dame is in. After what the committee said, you can't convince me of that. What would have been the reason? Notre Dame and Miami still would have been side by side. Because they can't admit, well, if Virginia would have won, then we probably wouldn't have bumped Miami over Notre Dame. They're not going to say, they can't say that. That'd be against their bylaws. I don't think there's a single scenario where they would have been in.
Like I said, the committee decided who was going to
be the winner of the ACC title
game.
game didn't get in. I mean, I get what people are saying. I don't think that would have been the case.
No, no, I don't either. We just have to accept the fact that the playoff decision and who was going to be in the playoffs was decided last Tuesday. It was not decided yesterday. That's what this was.
Yep.
From not a professional.
We did that one earlier.
Oh, right on.
Sorry.
No, you're good. From Parker C, 1990s. Appreciate you. As a Texas fan, Vandy, Notre Dame, and Texas getting left out over Tulane, who lost to UTSA by 20, is a tragedy and a mistake from the NCAA. Full stop.
I agree. That's why we said, look, there needs to be a rule that says if you're a conference champion from whatever league, you have to be ranked at least in the top 16 to get in.
Yep.
If you're not that high, then you shouldn't. Oh, that screws over the G5. Didn't screw over Boise State last year. They got in even if they weren't. They would have got in anyway. They were 9th. So, yeah.
From Julian Easter, appreciate you, Julian. Notre Dame should leave the ACC and develop a new conference.
I don't know that I'd want to join a conference. I would say, if you could join an association of teams that wanted to be independent again, and then that independence would like come with a TV deal, sure. You'd have to negotiate some bowl tie-ins kind of thing or whatever. That'd be fine. I want them to be independent. Now, I'm okay if there's an association of independent teams like there was, in the 80s and early 90s before it all got blown up for one reason and one reason only, TV money. But I don't want them to, like, I get what you're saying, Julian, but I would rather them lead an association of independent teams as opposed to starting a new conference. If you're going to do that, it's cheaper to just join one that's already started. Like that's kind of where I'm at.
From K Way for real, appreciate you. Play the bowl game, beat the crap out of whoever we play to set the tone for next year. We have to win in September and run the score up on everyone else since integrity doesn't matter in college football anymore. Shake my head.
Yeah, agree. Just kind of crush everybody. That's what you do.
From Law Dog, appreciate you, Brian. Thank you for having such a level head. Such a stunning and historically bad outcome, but you're right. Just win. Freeman better keep learning.
I'm glad you think I have a level head because I feel like I'm losing my flipping mind right now with what's going on the last week. So I appreciate you, man. I really do. It's been frustrating.
From Truth Lovato, appreciate you. Is it possible this will ignite the boosters to get us enough? Yeah. Is it possible this will ignite the boosters to get us enough money to bring back Love and Fields? $5 million each guaranteed could be enticing not to jump to the league. No,
I don't think you do that.
I don't even think Fields has a year of eligibility left.
Yeah, Price does. But Fields I don't think he can come back. He had played 4 years and had a medical. look, if it's best for Jeremiah Love to go pro, then Jeremiah Love's going to go pro and should go pro. I look, Jeremiah Love's a tremendous player, but your team is not geared on just Jeremiah Love. I mean, Ohio State lost 2 highly drafted running backs last year, and they went undefeated in the regular season, something they did not do last year. They lost a lot of talent from their team last year. Jeremiah Love is maybe the best running back I've ever seen from Notre Dame. And he is what you needed this year to be the team you were, just like Riley Leonard was the quarterback you needed last year. If Riley Leonard doesn't come to Notre Dame's not a playoff team last year, and they definitely don't make a run to the championship game, in my opinion. But that didn't mean he was necessarily the guy that you wanted this year or was the best guy this year. They'll be okay there. They're going to have to get better in other spots, no question. But I don't think that's what I would be doing with money raised from boosters. I think there's other things that I would do, like trying to raise a whole lot of money to fight the ACC and get out of that deal. Yeah. So
another one from Truth Lovato. Is it possible?
It's the same one, but just put Ignite in there. So thank you for that, Truth. I appreciate you. Sorry, Trev. I didn't mean to bring that one up.
No worries. Super chat from 5219 Spark. Notre Dame should put into motion starting their own conference, a new conference, CIA, Conference of Independent Athletics.
But if you're in a conference, then you're not independent. I mean, those two things can't go together. You know what I mean? Like, you're either independent or you're not. So I say, does that mean there can't be an association of independent schools where they play each other a lot? I'm fine with that, because that's what Notre Dame did for a long time. They played Indiana. They played Penn State a bunch back in the 80s and 90s. They played Miami. Would Notre Dame and Miami have developed a rivalry back in the 70s and 80s if Miami was in a league? No, they probably don't. The part of the reason they played is because they were both independent. Pitt. They played Pitt all the time when they were independent. They played Boston College all the time when they were independent. So I would say there can be an association where there's a leadership group that is out there looking to sign TV deals to host teams, independent programs, things like that. But I wouldn't go so far as to call it a conference, because if you're part of a conference, you're no longer independent. You're part of that conference. Like, you work out some deal with, 3 different streaming services and ESPN and whoever else that they're going to air X number of games a week from independent schools. And then, the TV deal is such that it's attractive to certain teams to no longer be in a conference. It'd be something like that, but that's so unlikely to happen, because I don't know that there's a TV deal out there that's going to pay you the 60, 80, 90, $100 million that a lot of these leagues are getting. You could maybe get some Big 12 and ACC teams out, but then again, who's going to give you enough money to where teams are getting $50 million a year, which is what Big 12 are getting, or 30, 40 million a year, like the ACC are getting? It's just, I don't know that it's out there.
From Kevin, appreciate you, Kevin. Freeman should have one message. It's Notre Dame versus everyone, the committee, the refs, the media.
But he's got to believe that first and foremost.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing, is you've got to have that mindset yourself, or they'll see through it. Like, the whole key to this is, if Marcus Freeman is pissed about this as I am, and I would assume he is, and then I would actually assume that Marcus Freeman's probably more pissed about this than I am. I want to make sure we're clear about that. But then also takes the proper lessons from being pissed. Because, like, look, I'm pissed as a Notre Dame fan. I'm pissed as someone who covers this team. Marcus Freeman's pissed because he's looking in a room of 100 kids that just got their dreams ripped out from underneath them. I promise you, he's more pissed than I am. But then, do you take the proper lessons from it, is more of what I'm trying to say. I don't want to make that seem like Marcus Freeman may not be as pissed as I am, kind of thing.
I got
so, yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. Yeah. Hold on a second. It's like, just spend 5 seconds looking at who sent. Like, somebody sent me a tweet saying that Notre Dame's not going to be in a bowl game. He goes, "This is legit." Good friend of mine. I'm like, buddy, take 3 seconds looking at the account. It says no 3 sports in the thing. Like,
From Michael S. Appreciate the super chat. Explain why Group of 5 got 2 teams in the college football playoffs. I thought they were only guaranteed 1.
Well, they are only guaranteed 1 because it's the 5 highest conference champions get in. One of them has to be a Group of 5 team. Doesn't guarantee it. It's just 5 highest. So if there's a insane year where the 5 highest ranked conference champions were a team from the MAC, a team from the American, Sun Belt, Conference USA, and Mountain West, those 5 teams would get in, and then everybody else would be in an at-large. That'll never happen. But that's where it is. It's just 5 highest ranked conference champions. If Boise State would have beaten South Florida and Notre Dame, they would have got in over JMU. You know what I mean? Like, actually, if they would have beaten South Florida and just San Diego State, I think they probably would be in that situation. But it's just 5 highest ranked conference champions. It's that simple. But since there's only 4 power conferences, one of them has to go to a Group of 5. So that's how it works. So the conference champion in the Sun Belt was ranked higher than the conference champion in the ACC.
From Patrick S. Duffy, appreciate you, Patrick. I saw Luca, I'm going to assume that's Luca Brazzi, maybe, leaving the playoff committee meeting last night. Not for nothing, would like to see Notre Dame play Brigham Young in a bowl game.
That's great. Yeah, Luca Brazzi was letting the committee know that what happens to them if they leave Alabama out. Yeah.
From Ross Blankenship, appreciate you, Ross. Notre Dame would have rolled the whole CFP field. Look at the number 1 seed. Layup natty for Notre Dame. Your show is one of the only sports accounts I haven't blocked or unfollowed. Sports is all a fake and waste of time.
I appreciate that, man. Sadly, it's becoming part of that. I see a lot of people saying, why should I care if it's all rigged anyway? And I see more and more of that. It is. I hate that because I love sports, and sports is supposed to be like one of those few unifying things that we have, and they're ruining it. They're absolutely ruining it. It is sad, but I appreciate the support, man.
From Benny J, appreciate you. Thank you, IB, for the amazing regular season coverage this year. I feel sorry for the team Notre Dame plays in a bowl this year, and hope Freeman takes a good, hard look at where we can improve.
Agree.
Has to happen.
And that's what you and I's shows will be about this week. Recapping the year, what went right, what went wrong. That'll be the things that we discuss this week, for sure.
From Patrick James, appreciate you. I just got an ESPN article recommended to me saying Notre Dame fans have every right to be angry right now. They're blatantly trying to play both sides of the coin.
Give me a break. You nailed it. That's exactly what they're trying to do. The fake outrage. When last night they're the ones that kept saying Alabama doesn't deserve to not fall out. Like you're the people that make the biggest salaries at ESPN all night last night kept saying Bama's in, Bama's in, Bama's in. A lot of the same people kept saying Miami's in, Miami should be in, Miami should be in. So who the heck did they think that they were going to drop out for Notre Dame? That's absolutely what they're doing. They're trying to get clicks on both sides of it. That's all it is. It's entertainment. And you know what? It's not even like they don't even try to hide it anymore. It's an absolute joke. An absolute joke.
From Chef Rudy, appreciate you. I think the committee watched Blazing Saddles instead of rewatching the Miami Notre Dame game. Great work and great breakdown.
That's great. That's very well played. Like you guys didn't know that you didn't watch the game already. You didn't know the game already, and for 5 weeks you're telling me you went and watched those games, and then that changed your mind. That's a lie. It's all a lie. It's all an absolute 100% lie.
From Molly Mall, DC, appreciate you. As an Ohio State fan, I wanted Notre Dame in for the rematch.
Yeah.
Anybody who cares about the quality of football, and I've seen it from a lot of different fans on social media, we've seen some come into the live chat during today's show and also talk about it as well. If you care about the quality of football and you love the college football playoffs and you love a good product on the field, you wanted Notre Dame in. And that's not Notre Dame in over this team or in over this other team. You can't watch what Notre Dame did the last 2.5 months and say that they're not a top 12 team in college football. And if you don't think so, then you're just completely disregarding facts.
Let me see here. This is why I say some fan bases are really just. It makes it hard not to call them names. This person, Notre Dame fans really think they could beat Alabama. LOL. Well, I don't know what is Notre Dame's record versus the SEC the last 2 years. Well, let's see here. They went on the road and beat Texas A&M. Beat the SEC champ last year by 13 in the Sugar Bowl. Lost by a point to an SEC team this year, and then beat another SEC team so bad that it took them 8 games in that conference before that conference outscored Arkansas by more than what Notre Dame did. It's like literally, like, I don't know how to say this without using a bad word, but like when you say things like that, you are advertising to the world, I'm a moron. And I hate to say this, like, because like I don't want to say these things, but I don't know what else to say when you say something that dumb. It's like Google's even easier now than it was before because the AI stuff will just tell you, hey, what's Notre Dame's record against the SEC? Like, you wasted your time coming into a chat and thought you said something super profound, but all you did was show yourself to just be someone who knows nothing. Nothing. It's kind of sad, honestly. It's kind of sad that someone could be that just, wow. It's almost like I feel bad for you that you're that unintelligent. Is that a nice way of saying it, Trevor?
You put it a lot nicer than I did. I've had a really bad weekend. So put it a lot nicer than I would have. We had this one. Super chat from Michael S. Appreciate you, Michael. Is Denbrock's game plan responsible for the poor offensive showing in Miami?
No. Mike Denbrock's game plan is not why CJ Carr made mistakes in his first ever start of when to hand off and when to pull it and throw it. There was one play in particular where CJ pulls the ball and throws it outside, or if he hands it off to Jeremiah Love, it's a 40-yard touchdown. Like, I'm not blaming CJ Carr either. Mike Denbrock's game plan is not why the offensive line got absolutely dominated in that game. Like, we're always looking for someone to play. This is a team sport. Chris Ash played a role. Mike Denbrock played a role. Lauren Lando played a role. Marcus Freeman played a role. All the players played a role. Like, if football was that simple, you would not need someone like us to watch. I hope that the reason there's a need for people like us is because it's not an easy sport to determine. It's not an easy sport to break down. And it's never one person's fault. This guy missed a kick at the end of the game. It's his fault. Yeah, but you shouldn't have been there to begin with. So, no. There's a lot of reasons why Notre Dame lost that game. A lot of reasons. You don't throw a bubble screen into press coverage and get it picked off. You don't wait on a ball in the end zone. You go attack it. You don't sit back and against a quarterback who's notoriously bad handling pressure and decide, we're just not going to pressure him. While 2 of your best athletes are sitting on the sidelines. There's a lot of reasons they lost that game. It's not just only Chris Ash's fault either. That's where we're at. So it's not one person's fault. It's a bunch of it.
Another one from Truth Lovato. Appreciate you. Really do. 1, appreciate IB and you all too. Praying this historic corruption bonds us together stronger than ever. 3, gap closers are on the roster and incoming. Super excited about the program future. And 4, 8-Bit Christmas. A great Christmas movie, FYI.
Yeah.
All right.
8-Bit Christmas. I've never heard of that before.
Me neither.
I have to look that up. I love Christmas movies, so I have to look that up. Again, somebody says, this is what I'm talking about. Mike Denbrock only gave Jeremiah Love the ball 10 times. A couple things. Number one is, by the first possession of the third quarter, Notre Dame was down 21-7. You weren't going to go on a 10-minute eat up the clock drive, number one. Number two, as I pointed out at the time, there was at least 5 or 6 other times that Jeremiah Love should have got the ball, but a decision was made where he didn't get the ball. Also, Jeremiah Love caught how many passes in that game? 4? He had 14 touches. There's been other games they've dominated where he had 14 touches. So it's not, if you think the answer is simple, then you are incorrect and you should think twice about it. Mike Denbrock did not choose to give Jeremiah Love the ball 10 times. That's like saying they're down 28-0 at halftime. Why didn't you give Jeremiah the ball the 15 times in the second half? Because they were down 28-0. I'm seeing more pushes for 8-Bit Christmas. I've literally never, I mean, I'm kind of a movie guy. Trevor's definitely a movie guy. I've never heard of 8-Bit Christmas. I have no idea what it's about. I have to go look it up.
Me neither.
I feel like I should stop saying it. Because like, are they like playing us? Like they're getting us to say something that, oh no, it's a real movie. It's got Doogie Howser in it. Or Barney from How I Met Your Mother. It's probably my favorite character that Neil Patrick Harris was in.
From B. Larkin, appreciate you. If I'm Notre Dame and it's an ESPN bowl game, I'm declining.
Again, I understand the push for that, but you're not doing anything to ESPN in that regard. You're only hurting your own players in your own program. You need that practice. You need that time together. It's a great opportunity for them to still be a team, for them to get to go somewhere, play all that other kind of stuff. So I would just encourage you to not – I get where you're coming from, but you can't do that.
From Kyle Wells, appreciate you, Kyle. Per CBS, B. Crawford, Notre Dame BYU Pop-Tarts Bowl is TBA.
I'm looking that up now, seeing if anybody's kind of put that in there. Yeah. And here's the thing too, Notre Dame fans, I get you're mad about what happened today. And I would be as well. Notre Dame got screwed. But if you choose not to go to the bowl game, if you choose not to watch the bowl game, if you choose to not care about the bowl game, you're not hurting ESPN. You're not hurting the committee. You're not hurting the SEC, the ACC. The only group of people you're hurting are the Notre Dame players and the Notre Dame coaches. That's it. And yourselves. That's it. So be pissed about it. But when you decide to do things like that, you're hurting your team. So go to the game. If you live near there, buy tickets. Watch the game. Those are all things that I want to see Notre Dame fans do. Don't boycott the team, because that's ultimately what you're doing if you choose not to. I'm not going to watch this. Okay, that's fine, but just know that you're hurting the team by not being at that game, by not paying to be at that game, by not watching that game, by not caring about that game. This bowl game and the prep for it will be part of what goes into what next year's team will be. So I understand the frustration. I really do. But just don't do that.
From Sank of a 1906. Appreciate you. I have so many people texting me with the join a conference. So sick of that narrative. Hope Notre Dame stays strong and pushes back hard against the ACC and SEC haters. Great work this year, IB.
Yes.
Appreciate you.
Yep. I appreciate that very much, Harold. Very, very much. And again, as I try to do every time I remember when you post, thank you very much for your service.
Another one from B. Larkin. Thank you. CJ pre-snap footwork missed by coach's first 2 weeks. Cost them that first game. Offset stance was a pass, even was a run. Can't believe it was missed.
I don't remember that being an issue against Miami. I know that was an issue against Texas A&M, but Notre Dame's offense was not the reason they lost to Texas A&M. Texas A&M could not stop. Like I saw some guy from CBS Sports was like, Notre Dame played 2 legitimate defensive lines and they lost both games. I'm like, you do know Notre Dame like moved the ball all over Texas A&M in that game. What are you talking about? You act like Notre Dame got dominated by both D lines. They got dominated by Miami. We've said that. But the offense is not why they lost to Texas A&M. Like, what are you talking about? Like, that's terrible analysis. That's like, and people say things like that because they know who they're feeding. They're feeding the SEC crowd. That's exactly what they're feeding. But like, Notre Dame had 429 yards of offense. CJ Carr threw for almost 300 yards that game. They scored 33 offensive points. Everybody knew that if Notre Dame has time to go on a drive at the end of that game, it's over because they're going to score. A&M was not stopping Notre Dame late in the game, just like Notre Dame couldn't stop A&M. So I'm not quite sure what you're talking about. Like, now, was it frustrating? Should it not? It should have absolutely not been missed. I agree with you wholeheartedly. But I have a feeling that was not something that CJ was doing in practice. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I mean, that's got to be fixed. Young kids will do that. It's got to be fixed. I'm not excusing it. It was bad, but that's not why they lost, though.
Of the long
That's
list
not
of
why.
things of why Notre Dame lost their first 2 games, that is it's at the bottom of the list
Yeah.
for me.
It's not good. It's not acceptable. It's not okay. I'm not justifying it, but like, it's not like if you fix that, they win the game, and you don't fix that, they lose the game. It wasn't the case. That was not why Ruben Bain whooped Notre Dame's offensive tackles the whole game. It's not why Akeem Massador whipped Notre Dame's tackles the whole game. Like, that's not why.
From Jason Grice, appreciate you, Jason. Any chance the collective convinced Jeremiah Love to come back another year?
I doubt it, nor should they. I mean, what you guys got to understand is chasing the almighty dollar is not every kid's thing. If Jeremiah Love cared about making the most amount of money, he would not be at Notre Dame. I know for a fact he had deals that were twice as much as what Notre Dame offered him out of high school. Came to Notre Dame because he had a dream and he had a goal. And his next dream and goal is to play in the National Football League. And he's not going to just come back for money, nor should he. If he's ready for the NFL and he's going to be a high draft pick and that's what he wants to do with his life, then go, man. Don't, you know what I mean? You come back to Notre Dame for $5 million, you blow your knee up. Guess what? You lost a bunch of money because you still would have made money as a first-round draft pick. It'd be different with Jadarian Price because now we're talking about, maybe a day 2 guy. Maybe his thing could be, maybe he could jump up to first round next year, a lot of that type of thing, right? But like Jeremiah Love, like let's say he's a top 15. Let me look at this. At 2005 NFL draft salaries. Let me look this up. So last year, the number 32 pick in the draft had a contract of fully guaranteed contract of $13 million. Let me go look this up. I've seen Jeremiah Love projected to go number 11 overall, the highest I've seen so far. That guy's average annual salary last year was $6.2 million. So if Notre Dame collective paid Jeremiah Love $5 million, that's still over $1 million short, and that's for 1 year. That's $6 million a year. If you're a first-round draft pick, your contract, I believe, is guaranteed for 4 years. Even if you get cut, you still get a certain amount of that money. Am I correct on that? I believe it is the case. And then they have an option for the 5th. So you blow your knee out, and you are way more money than you would be if you decided to come back. You'd make a lot more money going pro. It's different for day 2, day 3 guys. But if you're a lock to be a first-round pick, and Jeremiah Love is, and your goal is to play in the National Football League, as much as I would love to see him back next year, personally, if you're Marcus Freeman, Jaywan Sider, people that care about Jeremiah Love, you say, look, brother, if this is your goal, if you don't care about playing the NFL and you just love being, then come back. But if your goal is playing the National Football League and you're basically a lock to be a first round pick, which I believe Jeremiah Love is, you'd have to pay him $30 million for him to basically justify not going pro. Because if he comes back and tears his knee up, but again, for Jeremiah, it's not just about which gives me the most amount of a chance to make. It's, hey, I have a goal, I have a dream, I have things I want to accomplish in college. So I'm willing to turn down a bigger deal from Texas A&M and a bigger deal from Oregon. Facts, this isn't hyperbole. Way bigger NIL deals coming out of high school to go to Notre Dame because he had goals of who he wanted to be as a man, who he wanted to be academically, who he wanted to be as a football player, and Notre Dame fit that vision. So he turned down money because it's what was best for him as a person. If he decides that what's best for him as a person to stay at Notre Dame, he'll stay at Notre Dame, but it won't be because Notre Dame offered him a lot of money to stay. But if his goal is to be a player in the National Football League, his value will never be higher than it is right now. He's healthy. He had a tremendous year. He's without a doubt the best player in the draft. So if he comes back and he gets hurt, or they start picking apart his game, they start talking about how much wear and tear now he has on his body, now there is a chance his draft stock falls, and he won't make more money most likely in Notre Dame this year than he would in the NFL anyway. So the best thing to do, and Jason, I get where you're coming from, bro. I would love to have Jeremiah Love come back next year and just give everybody the middle finger. But if you really care about the players, the best thing for him is go pro. And, you've got Aeneas Williams, Kedron Young, Nolan James, and you've got 2 studs coming in next year. They should be okay at running back. You don't have to be as good. They're still going to be very good. But now the other parts of your game get better. Throwing game, O-line, defense, things like that. I'm ready for to see Jeremiah Love playing the National Football League because it's his time. And it's not saying they're going to be better off without him. I'm not saying that at all. Not even close. What I'm saying is I love that kid enough to say, as much as selfishly I would love to see you in a Notre Dame uniform again, I care about you too much to try to convince you to do so. Because it's your time. That's your dream. If that's your dream, go chase it. You're ready. Because he is ready. He's ready for that challenge. That's my 2 cents on that. Because I've seen a lot of people say that.
From Blackjack, appreciate you. My petty side wishes they could decline the bowl, but it doesn't make sense. I encourage everyone to take a step back and cool down for a few days.
Well, don't take too many steps back because we'll want you to be on the show on Monday. But yeah, I get it. You can't decline a bowl. We've talked a lot about that. I appreciate that, Blackjack. But I mean, I get the frustration though. That's why I kind of pushed back earlier when somebody says stupid. I don't think it's stupid. I get it. I get the anger. I get the rage and the passion. Because that rage and passion is why you watch shows like this, which we greatly appreciate that. But that's ultimately at the end of the day not what's best for the players and the team.
From Venom Sprack, appreciate you. Still love Coach Bree, but remember when that vid came out of him watching OSU celebration after the Natty? Thought we'd come out mad this year. Sigh.
Agree. They were, yeah. I mean, yeah.
We'll see.
That's what I'm saying. Let's see it. I want to see it. I hear it's all great. It sounds wonderful that people are talking about how come out mad and angry, but like we also heard the same thing all off season about,
we speculated about the same things after they lost to Miami.
Yep.
It's like, man, this team at home at night against Texas A&M. Yep. Bad day to be an Aggie. And I watched the defense give up 41 points.
Mm-hmm.
So until I see it, I agree with you completely, Venom. But it's time.
Yep. I agree. Well, Trev, we got all the super chats that were worthy of being brought up. There was a couple that were not worthy of being brought up, so we did not bring those up. And they were not from normal listeners to Irish Breakdown, so I don't care.
Fair enough.
So sorry, the bots are back today.
Well, folks,
all right.
That is going to do it for us here today on the Irish Breakdown podcast. Rough day, but 24-hour rule. We will be back on Monday to kind of start recapping Notre Dame's regular season, and we'll also have more clarity on who they're going to be playing in the bowl game. So make sure you tune in on Monday. That's when Brian and I will be back at 1 p.m. Have a safe rest of your weekend. On your way out of here, be sure to hit that like, hit that subscribe, hit that notification bell, share this podcast with your friends and family. Anybody that you know loves Notre Dame and college football as much as you do. And as always, the best way to subscribe or best way to support what we do here is subscribe to the premium message boards at boards.irishbreakdown.com. So until Monday, that's Brian. I'm Trevor. We'll see you back here very soon on the Irish Breakdown podcast.